Hello, chat. I just got called out for being late and gay. So I guess I'm
Gay wife.
divorcing my husband.
No,
I need
don't
to
divorce
live
me.
out
Let's
my
just bring
gay
let's
dream.
just bring a woman into what we got now.
That's what I've been saying.
That way
since I met you
everybody
guys.
wins.
Listen, if Mark gets a mistress, you get a mistress. That's how it works.
Yeah. Both of them.
So if I was just late and not gay and I wanted to bring an extra person into the relationship, you'd be okay.
Is it female and human?
Male.
Nah.
Sexism.
That's a nah from me, son.
Maybe a beautiful anime femboy or something.
Okay. I mean, I could maybe meet you at Anime Femboy.
Oh, tuxedo mask. I'm rewatching Sailor Moon right now.
No, it can't be the lead love interest to the female protagonist. It's got to be like one that you could kind of be like, is that a chick?
Yeah.
BTS boys. There we go.
Nah, they're
like,
human. They're not anime. It's human.
Well, I'm just wondering why, like, we're drawing a bar so low. Is we're wondering, oh, is it a chick? It's like, no, surely the one where you were convinced it was. That'd be better.
No,
Not just one where you're like, maybe.
Wow.
I mean, listen.
Like, honestly, if you
right
can make
light.
me say maybe, as far as I'm concerned, you're passing.
If I squint and I can't tell, it's probably a good time.
I mean, like, I've been attracted to girls that if you just saw them from far away, you'd be like, is that a guy? She's pretty muscular, short haircut.
Yeah.
But then you get close, it's like, oh no, she's actually pretty.
Yeah. You're learning something new about your
And then, hey, I married a giant Asian Amazon woman.
That's true.
She's very
Hi,
feminine.
everyone. This stream has already gone off the rails. Is this a poor choices stream?
I blame Disparu. He's a foreigner.
Yeah, I definitely started all of this.
Wow. I blame Mark.
Mine's still going on at the countdown. That countdown starts with a different beat at the start than it ends with. I'm like, I don't know if anyone else has noticed that. It really starts. It's like da 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 da, and by the end,
it goes really fast and then slows down.
Oh yeah,
I
noticed
defeats the object of a countdown.
I know. I don't know. StreamYards, get your beeps together. Seriously. Hi, I'm X-Ray Girl. I have 3 lovely guests. They're amazing. Let's start with the power bottom, MarcTheCyborg.
What the
I thought
fuck,
you were gonna
me?
say me. I'm an absolute. I was gonna say.
I was like, which one is this gonna be? I didn't expect it to be me.
Because you're under me, don't you get it?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Sure, that's why.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
listen,
I didn't just
I'm like-
accidentally divulge some details about the, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say. Wait a minute. We might have learned a new dynamic here.
Oh. Yeah.
No
anyway,
judgment.
I like having my hands free. What can I say?
Yeah.
he keeps them busy. All right. Okay. MarcTheCyborg. Now we have Epic Mike. I don't know if you're a power bottom. That's up between you and your lady Epic.
If Ethan Klein has taught us anything, it's that it shouldn't matter.
Yeah. I am absolutely a power
I'll explain that
bottom.
to you later.
It's easier. Yeah, it's a lot easier, and then you can have access. You have your hands. That's the biggest thing. Your hands are free to do things.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah.
I'm at with it.
You
Thank
still play Warzone.
Wow.
Yeah, you absolutely. You have a controller in your hand. And you just
All right, you lost me.
like this.
Although my Steam Deck did actually become available for purchase today, so
There you go.
I might have something to do.
Yeah. Listen.
Wow. Well,
We're in it now. Listen,
new
you learned
rule:
something
no
about me.
Steam Deck in bed.
Okay.
Well, we'll see how long that lasts. You know.
That's what I say. Anyways, and now our last guest. I don't know if you're a power top or power bottom, Disparu, but we have Disparu.
I'm not sure I'm either at the moment, considering the last thing that I actually did today was respond to Mike, who did what I can only describe as a hate crime on Twitter
Yes.
to me.
100%.
Sending me just abusive British memes.
Yes.
It was pure filth.
It was
What
straight up
was
like
it?
Disgusting.
it was a guy having fish and chips and tea, and it's straight up tuna fish, Pringles chips, and then he's pouring Arizona tea into like a little
Oh
shot
no.
cup.
Out of
Oh.
it.
I was like,
yeah.
when I saw it, I was like, I have to tag Disparu.
That
I'm
sounds
only
gross.
Canadian, which is kind of the intersection between American and British, and that is all wrong to me. Even
Oh, there's loads of Americans going, that's disgusting. What are you even
Yeah,
doing?
there you go.
Yeah.
This is an
I'd
abomination to
agree.
Pringles and everything.
But I had to hear his reaction. Listen, any day I get to trigger a British person.
Oh, at that point, I was just glad you're independent. It's like, I
Yeah.
don't want America to be attached to us if that's what you're
I'm
doing.
so glad. Yeah, I'm so glad you guys got.
We have a whole
got
body
rid
of
you
water
guys.
in between. Anyway, so did you guys all watch or rewatch Serenity? If not, that's okay. We got lots to talk about. know
I did
Mark
not rewatch it, but I've watched that movie a lot. It's actually in my top 20 favorite movies ever made. So.
What about you, Disparu?
I saw it a couple of weeks ago for the second time, but the first time I watched it was like I think when it first came out, so I couldn't remember the movie at all.
Oh, me too.
But I do think, yeah, it adds a lot of good stuff to the end of the TV series, although it's still missing some storylines that I wish they'd added in.
Yeah,
so it's a shame it all ended.
It's not enough time to do the movie, but like for someone who, I don't know if you watched the show before, I think they did a good job for people who were fans of Firefly and people who didn't watch the show, because I liked the movie from what I can remember when I was younger, but that was a whole couple decades ago. And then rewatching it now, I'm like, wow, they did so freaking well.
She's also watching it for the first time. Sorry, go ahead.
I watched the movie first when never seen the TV series, so I did it backwards as well.
Yeah, it's her deal too.
And,
yeah, I think actually what I was
it
just
stands
gonna
up on
say.
its own as just an action movie, especially towards the end it kicks off. So yeah, I do think it stands up. There's even characters that I much prefer in the movie compared to the TV series. Sort of the little girl.
Jane?
I think she's way better.
Oh, River.
I'm gonna have to get the character
Yeah.
names up. Yeah. I don't like her in the TV series at all. It's like she's just a waste of space that doesn't really grow into anything.
Wow.
You see glimmers of it.
Wow,
I can push back on that. Well, I mean, no, he's not wrong, because like River is not useful for the majority of the show, but it's when she is useful, she's critically useful. Like when they're I forget which episode it was, but she was like on the ship it was like her, Kaylee, and Simon or something like that were like back there fighting off all these guards that were trying to get on.
Shoots, like,
and then
3
she just
people.
picks up a gun, doesn't look, and just takes out all of them. And you're just like, oh, okay. So that's the thing River can do.
Yeah.
But that gets me, because they've never shown any signs of that at any other time, and then she just does it, and then someone comments on it, and that's it for the rest of the series. I think she actually comes into her own in the final episode where she goes off the ship. That was cool. I think that was her
Actually,
best episode by far.
I didn't get to rewatch that one, so I saw that once like 20 years ago.
That was the most personality that we've seen from her. And I think that maybe it's because of the psychosis that we weren't allowed that, and that whole mystery about her being like, what can she do? Is she a psychic? Is she a reader? All this in the TV show that kind of just didn't develop her as much into that one character that we see at the end, where we finally see a massive development. And I mean, now with the ending of the movie, if they were ever to do a second season, she doesn't have, I think, the thing that's gonna make her crazy. So she's not crazy anymore, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I don't ever want a second season of this show after the movie.
I could go for more movies, to be honest. I don't think
couldn't.
Joss Whedon is ever going to work again, so that'd be a big problem. But if someone said, "Hey, we're doing a new,"
Your dog
did
just farted?
Rocky fart?
I think so.
No, Rocky farts like a champion. He's
Oh my
that's the
worse than
arena
my
in which
husband.
he's our champ Rocky.
Wow,
Well, I'm not
that
very
is
gassy.
smell.
But yeah, it's fine, honey. You know it dissipates quickly. But anyways, what I was gonna say is River's power, I think, is explained to enough of an effect on the show, because and in like I think the first or second episode too. So because Simon says River, like I was a gifted student, I got into med school, blah blah blah. He gives all his credentials, and he's like, but River makes me look like an idiot. Like she can just instantly watch something and then kind of process it and learn it. And so, and we see her do that a few times, like when she sees the people doing the sort of Irish dancing, and then she just kind of gets up on the stage and dances around for a second, and then she's dancing like just the way they are. It's sort of already been established that her thing, her power, And they do establish it as a power. She's not just, oh, she's just talented. It's like, no, she's sort of superhuman. And I think that everyone's aware of that. And the telepathy, I think, would be the easiest marker for in narrative. Yes, she's not just perceptive. She actually is a superhero. And her just being able to learn skills and then have a kind of ridiculous proficiency at them quickly is kind of her deal. So I don't know. I thought it was sort of fine that like she kind of kicked into gear every so often in a couple episodes, but they didn't spend too much time going into it.
My problem wasn't with her powers, it was the insanity angle, which I thought destroyed her as a character, because it meant she was useless for nearly all of the time. I would have liked her to have got rid of that and just being like one of the crew that could do things better than they could, kind of thing. And maybe you could have reasons to take her out of the action so she's not just doing everything all of the time and being just really overpowered. But all of this sort of insanity, I don't like characters which are like, oh, I'm really strong, but I'm just not going to help you. that gets me as a thing. In
boy, oh boy, would you hate the Sentry in the comic books.
I think, though, that like you kind of answered your own question there, because her being kind of a loose cannon and like mentally unstable is sort of how she wasn't just the OP thing that she becomes at the end of Serenity. And that actually might be one of the reasons that my theory is that they knew that this was just going to be the end and they weren't going to make River resolve her insanity maybe until the end of the series. Because at that point, once you have River on your side, it will get much more difficult to actually write why she's not just solving everything. It's sort of the problem that the MCU ran into in Phase 2, where once you have the Avengers team up, you see Captain America Winter Soldier and it's a pretty good movie, but at the same time you're just like, why didn't he just call Tony Stark to help with this though? You know, like, and I think that they did better at answering those questions moving forward. But I think that if River became the River that she is at the end of Serenity during the show, I think it would be very difficult to continue writing the show for very long after that.
Well, I have a hot take on this. I don't think Firefly would have stayed as good had they not gotten canceled, because the fact is, like, they knew like as soon as the first season aired. So Fox aired the series. First of all, they didn't air it in order. I think they started
with the third.
Yeah, they started with the third episode first, and like it was a complete mess. And there were some episodes that never even aired on television. I think there's this like beauty to the fact that the show is like this beautiful like thing, and it's very well written. Like first season is very well written, but knowing like Buffy and Angel and knowing some of Joss Whedon's other things, he's a good writer. But I think eventually the show would have jumped the shark and gotten really goofy, like it sometimes did with Buffy. So I kind of am happy that we only got one season, because it's like always leave them wanting more. I've always wanted more, and then Serenity was kind of the more that we got, and then I think if there would have been more, it wouldn't have been as good. I think we would have started getting diminishing returns, because there's almost like a desperation in the movie that's like, we got to get this right because it's been a long time coming. But that's just, I don't know. That's my take on it, is that I think if the show had kept going on, I don't think it would have been as beloved as it is now. So
I can semi-agree with you on that point. The only thing that I kind of wish that they developed the story more on was Shepherd, which obviously we can't anymore, but like it was hinted, of course, that he had a life before he became a shepherd, and he even said it too. It's like, I was a different person, and he showed attributes of being able to use his gun, being very perceptive about agents, having that card when he went to get medical attention at the Alliance ship. I would have loved to see, I mean, at this point, I think he was some sort of like operative. And then when he got out, he was like, I need to atone for all my sins.
Yeah.
And that's why he went to that direction.
Book was already one of my favorite characters. I was like, what is this guy's angle? But the episode where he has the card and he's like, go get me help. And then they're like, Alliance? Who is this guy?
Alliance is like, no, we're not giving you medical attention. Sees the card. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
How's this for a fun fact? Book has the same origin to an effect as Black Widow, MCU. Both another Joss Whedon character. The idea of a lot of red in the ledger. Joining the Avengers to kind of want to make up for everything that she did as one of the Black Widows. But Mike, I was going to... Sorry, can you just reiterate what your previous point was, just to get me back on track?
So
Mike,
my point is that I think that the show would not have been
the Buffy deteriorating over time. I would argue that both Buffy and Angel got less silly in their later seasons than they were in the initial seasons. Like, because if you watch the early episodes of both Buffy and Angel, they're very silly for the most part. And as the shows went further, I found they got kind of similar to like the Harry Potter franchise, got much more adults with the audience, growing from like early teenagers for the most part, because the original Buffy was like a WB show or CW show, as you'd call it now, that mostly little kids watched. And then those kids or teenagers, whatever, got older and they grew the characters with them. So you have like by fourth season, they're in college, and by I think fifth season, they're all kind of gone from like universities and stuff like that. Or I think actually Willow is still, I don't know, I'd have to rewatch it, which we might do
in college.
eventually.
Yeah.
But I think that as Joss Whedon's characters advance, I have found that he's actually quite good at taking them in pretty interesting directions, but also writing them to a level of skill where even if characters, like take Spike, for example, or Wesley's probably an even better one, where him in season 3 of Buffy versus him in season 4 of Angel is like, or 5 of Angel, because he lives till 5. Oh, spoiler, sorry. In the later seasons of Angel, I'll say.
Yeah.
Like not the same guy at all, but like the way they do it, you kind of buy it, because it's like, well, they take the time to like actually have him progress from like the silly watcher who's a know-it-all and is like kind of dumb to, oh, he went through some shit, so now he's like taking his job more seriously and trying to be good at it, to something very terrible that I'm not going to spoil happens to him, and then he kind of goes on like a revenge quest that sort of turns him into a much darker character. And then the later seasons, it's kind of him coming back up to being sort of a good guy, but like actually similar to Willow and Black Widow and Book. He's like, well, but at this point now I've done some shit, so I've got a lot to pay for, and then the show ended.
That's fair. I can see that. I just think that part of the cult following is that we never got more, and I think there was always that desperation for like, please give us more. And I just don't think it would have had the same. I just don't know that he would have kept up the same energy. I think with like what Disparu was saying with like a character like River, the insanity angle and how she would have developed that, like that's a fine line. I think a movie, they did it well, but they also kind of had to rush through it, and it's hard to know, because Joss Whedon had like 7 years to sit on it and think about that story and how he wanted to develop it before they finally got the movie off the ground. I think it was 7 years, but I mean, it's the other beauty about the show is the fact that we're still here going, man, what could have been? Like, what could this show have really been? So
someone brings up Dollhouse. I think that's another one. Dollhouse first season is like meh, but I really enjoyed the next one, which I think is the one it got cancelled.
Did Dollhouse? I don't remember Dollhouse having a season 2. I mean, Dollhouse was a show with Eliza Dushku, who's Faith on Buffy, and she plays this. Basically, they're like blank slate humans who you can like download a personality in and then send them on missions. So they're dolls and
cool.
And there was a bunch of Buffy.
Yeah, I did get a second season.
Oh,
the second
I don't think I ever saw
entirely
season 2.
different to the first.
What I'm
it
getting
makes the character more complex because spoilers, but it's so old. Essentially, rather than having one personality, she can access multiple ones. So she has like multiple powers she can get control of. So
and she doesn't need to download them. She can call them on demand.
It's kind of like Everything Everywhere All at Once then.
Yeah, that's actually like the premise behind that movie.
Such a good movie, by the way.
Yeah, anyone here, if you've not seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, like my brain is at war right now trying to pick what my favorite movie of the year is between Northman and Everything Everywhere All at Once, because they could not be more different from each other. So I'm just like, if I have to give a number one to, like, how do you put those two against each other?
I love The Northman. I think that movie's amazing. And we don't get movies like that anymore. But Everything Everywhere All at Once, and this is not hyperbole, is one of my favorite movies ever made. I think it's actually
and I wouldn't even argue against that.
Well made and goofy in a good
creative
way. And
it's very creative and like it's funny, But like anytime you could see a movie that crosses like so many genres that you cannot give it a genre and say this is what this movie is. It's like kung fu action film.
It's an
like,
action comedy
fantasy.
Family drama.
And
Science fiction,
with science
comedy,
fiction and
fantasy
multiverse, because the way they explain the multiverse stuff makes enough sense to go, oh, that's how it is. But like the lead up to it, without spoiling it, like when you meet this one character who's kind of the one that leads you into the multiverse stuff, he's doing all this really weird stuff. He's like,
he is too.
He's like
so
chewing
wacky.
gum. Yeah, I don't remember what it is. He sticks in his mouth and chews on
A chapstick.
It was
chapstick. Yeah, he takes chapstick and he bites into it and starts chewing it.
But
and then he becomes like a kung fu
make
master.
that make perfect sense within the context of this universe's rules and like how their technology works and what it requires in order to work.
Oh,
like
my favorite was
you know
the
what?
trophy.
Actually, Disparu, as a Brit, you might actually really appreciate this comparison. It's basically the Kung Fu Matrix multiverse version of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, now that's a good selling point for me. I haven't seen it.
Well, I know because you're British and some stereotypes are absolutely true. And to be fair, liking Hitchhiker's Guide, not a giant logical leap for a person who I know appreciates good stories. So,
well, yeah,
but like Hitchhiker's Guide is pretty similar in a way where it's silly as all hell, but they kind of make an effort to be like, no, but this all makes sense together.
Yeah.
Like we're not just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. We actually are seriously thinking about this.
Yes.
Yeah, like they can literally just talk about like how something turns into a doll thing falling through space and its thought process before it dies, and like that makes sense. That's perfectly fine.
Yep.
So how eating a stick of chapstick, chewing on it, will turn you from being just a normal dude into a kung fu master who then beats up like 5 people with a fanny pack.
Yep.
Beautifully, by the way, like wonderfully choreographed and acted.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, but that makes sense with like when they explain the rules to you, you're like, they made that make sense?
I know we're supposed to be talking about Firefly, but I do have to point out, like, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is my favorite book series ever. Like, I could not get enough of those books. And the genius of it, like, when they explain things, and, like, when they finally pay off, like, the bowl of petunias, and I'm like, what? And it all make sense in, like, such a great way. I was like, I love this movie so much, or this book series so much. The movie did not do the books justice, but,
we should get back to Firefly, but I will Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's that same standard of like this shouldn't make any sense, but the writers were good enough to make it seem like it does. Like,
they tightrope walked to like an amazing conclusion that I did not expect. Like, dude, that movie is phenomenal. So, yeah.
Yeah, I knew I'd seen 2 things. I've seen the movie and the TV series, but not the book.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books.
Yeah, I've not done the books, but there's a TV series and a movie.
Yeah, and the movie and stuff doesn't even do justice to the books. The movies and stuff are clever in their own right, but the books are so well written and so well done.
I think the movie is a pretty good. Here's an idea of what Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is in 2 hours.
Yes,
like it does a really good job of just being that. It's like here's a condensed version of it. If you like it, go read or watch the show. But speaking of good movies and delightful puppies, oh yeah, I've got a puppy.
Okay. Anyways,
where my puppy at?
So I guess we could start with like the beginning. How did you like the introduction of? We never get the name of the guy. I just call him the Operative.
The Operative.
The Operative.
Operative. Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah, and he's like. I thought that he was less creepy than early in that last episode, but he's still like as scary. Like he's not as crazy. I thought the early was crazy, but this guy is like he's sane, but he's like everything he does, and this word will come up a lot, is that he just believes in what he's doing. The word belief is the key to this like entire movie, really. And I don't know, I think that introduction that we got from him with the whole like nerve thing and the sword falling on the sword and how creepy and normal he just was with everything, everywhere he moved, and figuring out, you know, this guy is just sinful because of his pride. I don't know. What did you think of him?
He's probably out of a couple of the main cast, my favorite character. I'd seen him in the movies first, and I'd liked him in that. But when I went back to the TV series and saw him in there, I do prefer his character in the TV series, because I think he nails that kind of thing as, I don't really want to do this, but I'm just going to do the most efficient way possible, and anything that achieves my aims is right.
I'm going to use anything and everything.
Is he the same guy from the last episode, the bounty hunter dude?
No,
Wait,
not
he
the same
was?
guy.
I thought they were different characters.
No, that's a different character.
I thought it was
That's
a
how
different
good.
character.
No, that's how well
remember-
written Jubal Early is as a character, though, because
Oh,
that's
okay.
how. No, they're
So-
different characters.
The difference I
Is
found
it the
between
same
them.
actor then?
No, they're just both black.
Well,
I will say this: I can see though
I understand.
the line deliveries and everything.
I just assume because they're both people that work like the same agents and
I could have
everything.
sworn he was
They
about
even
to
use
say
the
they're
same
both people of
abilities.
color.
Yeah, no, it's not the same guy at all. No, Jubal Early is a totally different.
But
character.
they are kind of
They're
similar.
But I
kind
can
of
see
got
what
the
you're saying.
same line though. Like,
They've got the same thought processes and everything. It's
No,
unless
they
you're
don't.
gonna
And I
say
was
that-
actually going to explain that. I haven't even recently watched the last episode, which is why that kind of confused me for a second, because Extra Girl watched it without me. But the idea of him, because I remember the thing, is it to Kaylee that he says, like, have you ever been raped? And he basically threatens to rape her.
he
So-
threatened, yeah.
Okay, so the operative would not ever do that because his whole deal is similarly like I'll tell you why. Unless it's, I don't know, maybe some kind of psychological warfare play. But his whole thing is that I'm going to function as the devil that my faction needs because I think that that's the way that they will actually win. And it's not that I don't have a moral compass. I know absolutely that everything I'm doing is disgusting and wrong, like murdering children, for example. But he's like, but you got to understand, I want so badly for the Alliance to succeed that I am willing to do anything, even knowing how morally disgusting it would be. So I guess you're right. If it was a psychological warfare tactic, possibly rape's on the table. But I think it's more in the fact of like, you should be afraid of me murdering you because there's no one I won't murder if I think they're standing in the way of my goal.
Yeah, I think the difference is, and I can see why you get those two characters confused, because the one thing is Jubal Early is obviously in it for himself, but he's kind of the similar way. Like that moment, like he's very like weird, and you're kind of like, this guy's kind of quirky throughout the episode until the scene with Kaylee, where he sucks all the air out of the room, and you realize the man you're standing in the room with, it will do anything to manifest his goals, but he's not doing it for anything external. He's doing it for something internal. Whereas, the operative, which I will try to keep it as brief as possible. The operative is one of my favorite villains.
Yeah, he's
Oh.
good.
Anything, period. I think he is one of the best villains I've ever seen realized in film. Because of that concept of like, it's not just enough to be a believer, because we've seen zealots and you see people that like, even Thanos, like he's kind of that like, oh, I'm driven and I have a goal in mind and everything, but like he's so calm and collected, and there's never a moment that's going to shake him on this. It's amazing to me. Like that whole scene where he just looks at the guy and he's like, they'd fall on their sword, and he's like, well, I don't have a sword, and he just pulls it out, and the guy's like, oh, you brought a sword. He's like, oh yeah. And then like, even when he kills the guy, he looks at him with like such conviction, like, this is okay. Like,
Yeah, this is a good way to
is-
die.
This
And
is a
he's
great death.
He's
it's just there's
telling
no
the
shame in this.
lady,
Yeah.
like, oh, I need these files, while the guy's like falling on the sword. And like, this is just like a normal Tuesday.
Yeah, he's like, get to work.
It's
like,
not
get
the
to
first
work,
time
yeah.
he's done this. But I guess what I meant, the lawful evil, chaotic evil thing, I think kind of clarified my point in my brain. So what I was saying is that the operator would not do anything because he would find it fun, whereas I think Jubal Early would. And so that's kind of what I mean by like, he wouldn't just rape one of the crew members, because I was thinking in my head, that you can't explain that as a functional thing, but then I thought of the psychological warfare thing.
Jubal could, though. Jubal had
Yeah.
the opportunity to do that, and he didn't. He did what was necessary to get the job done, and no more. He
No,
could
I
have
think-
easily just gone around and killed all the crew if he wanted.
With Jubal, he wanted to threaten them to behave. And I think that's where the difference is. He'll threaten with whatever he needs to.
Yeah, Jubal gets off on the power trip. The operative doesn't care like what it takes to get it done, and he doesn't derive any pleasure from it. Yeah.
No. And
Which
he
is the
pretty
difference.
much
Go ahead.
I was gonna say he's pretty much monotone in his expression until you see the Reavers coming in the ships. Besides that, he's pretty like you don't see anything, no happiness, no sadness, no anger. So I thought that was like kind of a crazy trying to get across that emotion, but non-emotion, I guess.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part is he only gets upset when people aren't doing their jobs. Like when everybody's sitting around on the ship looking around, he's like, do something. Like, why are we standing around? Like, he's holy crap, people. Like, what am I doing? Yeah. But like, other than that, he really doesn't get shaken, which is another thing to me that I think is like, the Operative is one of my favorite villains ever. And Chiwetel Ejiofor kills it in that role. Like, he absolutely destroys it because it's a fine line between acting like nothing shakes you and acting wooden. Like that's a really difficult line to walk. The only person I've ever seen come close to that is Britt Spiner as Data, and even with that, it took him almost a whole season in Star Trek to get to that like fine line, you know. So it was great. Yeah.
The only thing with the Operative for me is that obviously he does the paralysis move on everyone, and I have the same problem with that as I do with the Vulcan neck pinch. That if something is that easy and that powerful, why does nobody else know this thing? It's like it should either be difficult to do and pull off, or like everyone should know it.
I think that in both cases, though, isn't the issue that it is difficult to pull off, and that like that's why only Vulcans have like the ability to, because it's a skill that you can't just teach anyone. Same with I'm guessing the nerve cluster.
Well, with Vulcans, it's not just the physical attack; it's they're psychic too. Like Vulcans are mildly psychic.
There are parts of Trek where they've taught humans to do it. So
that is true.
Oh, okay. So I don't think I ever remember seeing a human do the Vulcan nerve pinch. So
I can't remember which one it is. Whether it's in the movie, in one of the series.
I know that Data learns it.
Well, I mean, like they can do
so
they can do mind melds too. So like Vulcans have again like River abilities that normal people.
Yeah. Although in New Trek, mind melds have just morphed into we can do anything.
You might.
But it is fair though. Like when you have a nerve attack, everybody should know that nerve attack. Like,
you might as well be using Obi-Wan as a reference to how fast 10-year-olds can run.
Oh my God! Stop.
No, you don't again. I saw a 6-year-old who was playing a 10-year-old flat out outrun 3 grown-ass adults.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I wonder what nerve it is, because you hear about stuff like this all the time.
Nerve
from
cluster
like nerve cluster, I guess not all the time, but like in certain kung fu, there's like pressure points, and maybe that's like their version of a pressure
sciatic
point.
nerve, just like a crazy shooting pain into the buttocks. Just
no, but the sciatic nerve is a little lower than that, so I don't know.
I know, honey. I was kidding.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see your joke.
I don't think anyone could be that paralyzed by sciatic nerve pain in their butt.
Well,
and you get to a point where you just hit them in the neck anyway, and then they can't breathe. So
oh my God, yeah. Which that happened a few times in the show too. I don't think
I do like though, like talking about him using it towards the end of the movie though, like to tie it in before, because I feel like we're not going to go over that as much later on. But I like that they established that his deal is when he does that, as far as he's concerned, he's already won. Yeah. And like I think him saying, "Yeah, could you get those files for me?" like in the middle of the spiel was a really good way to show that. It's like this is a thing that he does, and there's no possible way for this person to counter it. Like he's not even a little bit worried that this guy's just gonna be like, "Oh, what the hell was that?" and then run away. As he does it, then he's like, "Okay, I've won. My sword is just being held behind my back on the ground. You're just gonna fall on it, and there's nothing you can do at all."
The interesting thing as well was the captain knew that nerve cluster and knew the effect it was supposed to have, so he could correctly mimic what was supposed to happen to him. Because if he didn't know what was meant to happen, he would have just carried on moving as if it's not affected him, but he knew enough to be paralyzed.
Yeah. I mean, like, if he had a cheeky surgeon after, like, that was saving his life during the war, they might have been like, "Hey, the good news is, if anyone ever hits you in this nerve cluster, you're not going to be paralyzed."
Well, and I think that one's, like, for Mal, like, because I think Mal's my other favorite character in the whole series, is because Mal probably has heard about operatives before, but would never tell you about them unless he needed to. Because he's the first one to call him an assassin. Because he knows exactly what he is. Because in that moment, like the scene, I know
if you wanted to be diplomatic, they wouldn't have sent an assassin.
An assassin, and he stops and he looks at him like
he's like, "Wait, how do you know?"
Oh, you know what I am. We get it. Because,
I totally missed that.
Yeah, because the thing is, Mal is just as dangerous as anybody in the Alliance is he just doesn't give a shit like right now. He's just trying to run away from everything that he had to deal with before. But like I think Mal could have been that level of like dangerous if he would have joined the Alliance. He just didn't. You know, he's a brown coat. So yeah.
Interesting. I wouldn't have caught that. So I'm thankful that you told me that. There's moments that I see Mal and like he's almost too nice to be part of the Alliance if he ever went that track. You know, his morals, and even the Shepherd said his beliefs, like he knows what he would have done. The Shepherd knew that if when they had gone to Beaumont and after River got into that fight with all the people at that bar, he's like, you wouldn't have left her even if you wanted to.
Yeah.
He's worth the trouble given his track record that he's seen. So I'm glad he never became an assassin.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to I guess to when they I'm sorry, I'm scrolling through all my notes here. After
what about the track shot, like introduction that kind of goes around? Because I was gonna say that I think that I think it was Disparu who was saying earlier on the stream that it functions very well as like a standalone action movie, and I think that track shot around the ship is what does that, because you feel like you get a little taste of everyone's personality enough that if you're just being introduced to them, you have at least a cursory understanding of their dynamics.
Yes.
Like you sort of understand how they interact with not only Mal, who the camera's sort of following as he walks around, but everyone else on the ship has like little quips with whoever they're close to. And you don't get Inara and you don't get Book, obviously, for obvious reasons, because they're not on the ship at that point. But I thought that they did a really good job of being like, here's the characters that we're mostly going to focus on, because Book, spoiler alert, shows up and isn't around for too long. And Inara kind of shows up a third of the way through the movie or so and kind of doesn't really serve too much of a function in the story overall. I would have liked a little more closure on the Inara Mal sort of love story happening.
It's the tease.
Yeah, well, but if it's never happening again, could we not have gotten one just like solid makeout with them?
No, because it'll never happen. They probably will never end up together.
Well, no, just because she's a companion and he's too prideful.
I think when he's limping with his hurt nerve cluster and like towards that thing down the hallway and they find out he's alive, if Inara ran up to him and planted one on him, I don't think anyone would have thought like, oh my God, they went there. Like that would have been a perfectly reasonable response.
It would have been.
Of course.
He's
Everyone
like, tell you
wants
what, freebie companion for the night, Mal. You just freed the world from tyranny.
Yeah.
It's pretty hot.
Yeah.
I love the music score that they had on the scene when they first show the ship and they haven't gone into the ship yet. And I kid you not, like it's as if I had finished the series thinking, oh my God, there's nothing left. And all of a sudden this movie years later, even though I watched it a week before, I'm like, oh my God, I get to see them again.
Yeah.
And everything is just as I thought. You know, the ship's kind of falling apart. You know, Wash is making jokes. Jane has guns and wants to bring grenades.
Exactly.
You know, and then Mal saying, yo, we don't need grenades. Little did they know they did need them, and the engine kind of spewing and chugging along. You know, I think it was very typical, like what every day for them is like. And even Simon being mad at Mal for bringing River on a mission, like that would be typical too. He would always be.
We're mid Simon yelling at Mal about something to do with River. We're mid Wash doing his best to not have them crash while being very cavalier about like, we might actually crash this time though, guys, like for real. And you have River being kind of like just funny and like a little bit weird, and it's like, okay, maybe that's the River they're talking about. Jane, as you said, being like, yeah, we need grenades, and then giving Mal sass when he's like, oh, what you plan and how things go down isn't always the same thing now, is it? Like it's I don't know, it's all a really good snapshot of their characters.
It was a synopsis, a great synopsis of them.
It's in the movie, isn't it, where you get the line from Mal when he's having to go saying you shouldn't take River. It's like, I promise, if she dies, I'll try and be a little bit upset about it, or something like that.
Like, I'll choke up.
I'll be very choked up. There might even be tears.
I was like,
That's one of my favorite lines.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if I could ever do this, but maybe it's a thing for River. She walks around barefoot everywhere, except for when they're like on that last mission. That's when she actually has boots on. I thought that was
Summer Glau is definitely on WikiFeed.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh gosh. Yeah, and that
Probably
whole
was the first one.
robbing scene was it was fun and funny all at once. I think that they did a good job capturing what a mission with them would be like. You know, they make jokes every now and then. They're trying to be serious and
trying to not kill people. Also.
Yeah. Zoe, when she stopped that guy from getting his gun, she's like, you know what a hero is? Someone who gets people killed. And I mean, it's pretty true.
And the guy just tosses his gun too. He's like, all right.
He's like, okay, fine, I get it. Now, in a Hollywood movie, what would have happened? Like, the line would probably be very different, and we would feel very told. And I think this whole intro kind of captures like great writing that we don't see a lot these days on characters. So,
and I think the because I think it is before this, isn't it, where you see them talking about River and the escape from that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, where they say she's like a psychic.
Yeah, I think that intro would have been better. Like, if they thought of it, I think that should have been in the TV series. Because that really
teased it in the first episode, I would have loved it. Just, you know, take a little bit of mystery away from her condition, so to speak. Like, she's a psychic, but then why is she crazy? Like, that whole mystery would have been kind of cool to develop into this movie eventually. But
yeah, and I think it would have added a lot to the whole insanity deal as well. If you'd known why, that she'd essentially gone through hell under all of these people for years.
Like, you have like pens going into your forehead and, you know, psychic attacks almost when she's sleeping and they're controlling her and all that. That was a missed opportunity. And then we get reintroduced to the Reavers. Scary, scary, scary folk.
That was like the most like not
space
scary
pirate zombies.
You're like scary, scary, scary folk.
Scary, scary.
It sounds terrifying.
Like, it's kind of funny how like so Mal and them are robbing the place, and then of course they get the vision, or she gets the vision that Reavers are coming. All of a sudden he's like, get all these people into the vault right now and close your doors.
Until you run out of air.
Yeah.
Like, don't open up unless you're running out of air.
Yeah. Yep. And I thought that was it's so funny to see I'm being a bad person, but I'm being good all at once too. Like, I care about you. It's not your money we're stealing, but save yourselves all at once. And then we see him, of course, kill that guy that tried to jump onto the cruiser. Yeah. Afterwards. And I thought that was it was kind of similar to Jaynestown episode where, you know, he was getting chased and then he ended up throwing his comrade off and then throwing his payload off. And then, of course, that's why they loved him in Jaynestown. And I thought, wow, Mal could have done the same thing. Just thrown the payload, but he's being the typical captain. He's like, I need to do stuff for our ship to make sure we're fed. This guy, he's not part of our crew, so he couldn't stay on. What would you have rather me throw one of you guys off instead to save him? And I think that kind of showed us how hard it is to be him, to make those final decisions.
The conversation with Simon, though, did set up that he's like, look, we're not in a good place financially here. Like, we actually might not have money to like repair our ship the next time we do. And then we're just stuck on whatever planet we happen to be on. We might not have enough money to eat, which means we've got to probably start doing much less ethically suitable things in order to just flat out survive. So Mal being in a situation where it's like, shoot this guy who already was established as a person who was willing to shoot all of them, because that was the guy that was drawing the gun that Zoe said don't do it, basically. So it's like, well, this is a guy who would have shot us, who I have to now choose between the safety and health of my crew or this guy. Like, screw this guy, like, whatever, just get off. I'm not shooting you. And then the Reavers get him. He's like, okay, now I will shoot you because at this point I feel bad. And but then Zoe calls Mal on it in, I think, a way that is morally complex, because you can tell that, like, she even says, I think, like, I don't disagree with you on any point, but also you didn't have to do that.
Why you do that?
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, I like that it showed his priorities and that he'd stick with them. And it was like, well, the crew first. I'm not kicking any of the crew out. Then we need the money, otherwise we still all die. So I don't think he did actually have another choice. It was either that guy goes or everyone gets captured, or they all get away but starve.
Well, yeah, that was the thing.
Yeah. I think there's an interesting, like, there's supposedly an interesting parallel because of how the movie concludes, that, like, in the beginning of the movie, Mal is not the main character. It's actually Simon. I forgot his name for a second. He's actually the antagonist of the movie until it's like the third act, and then Mal becomes the antagonist of the movie. But, like, the idea is that, you know, we have this guy running around here, this operative that will do anything for the Alliance to establish a better world. Like, he's the monster that has to, like, exist to make the world what it needs to be. And, like, Mal is the guy that fought for that better world in a war that he completely lost and has never quite gotten over. But, like, now his world is his crew, and he'll do anything to make sure his crew is okay. Like, he's willing to sacrifice any part of himself to make sure his crew survives and does well and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. And yeah, he is like a scoundrel, but once again, you know, we're reminded later in the movie, like, he plays whatever role he needs to play to get whatever needs to get done.
And so. I think there's a line that he says when he's talking to Simon at the beginning. He's like, I don't want to use River, but I will use River. Yeah. Yep. He's like, and then obviously he doesn't want to steal.
I look out for me and mine. That doesn't include you unless I conjure it does. Like, it was like, look, like, you could be part of this crew and I could be looking out for you too. But if you start telling me what I can and cannot do in order to keep the crew safe, we might have a problem.
Yeah.
Which it's very clear in that episode where Jane kind of defects a bit and puts the crew in danger when they go to the hospital. And I'm just kind of reflecting back on that. And he does the same thing. He's about to throw Jane out, but when Jane was all, you know, he felt sorry, and he actually showed that he was sorry that he actually kept him. You know, you do something against the crew, you do it to me. And I think that reflects to every crew member. And I kind of like that he's consistent about it.
He was about to give him the old hot Ripley.
Yeah, I didn't like that he kept Jane alive, because I still think that Jane was only sorry because it backfired on him.
Oh,
like,
of
if
course.
He'd got away and got his money, he wouldn't have been sorry at all. And so he wasn't actually sorry. He was just sorry that his plan didn't work.
He's like,
I think there might be some layers to that too, because I think he knows that Mal, I think, kind of thinks he's like, at any point I might be where Jane is as far as, like, just trying to look out for number one. So part of what I have to do is keep guys like him in line to prove to myself that I should also stay, I guess, ethically above board, or at least that's kind of how I saw it. And because I do agree with you, Disparu, in that I do think Jane was only apologizing to save his own life, and that's kind of the issue with putting someone under that kind of duress. But I also think that Mal was just like, like, his thought process was probably something like, just remember, I will kill you if you try to fuck with me. And that was kind of enough for Mal. But he's like, but if you want to play nice, we can be friends because you're useful.
Yeah. Well, and also there's like a pecking order to the crew too. And Jane's higher on the pecking order than a lot of other people. Like, he's low, but he's also, like, I think there's, like, of all weaknesses.
Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe, Wash, Jane. Maybe Kaylee above Jane.
I think Kaylee and Jane are pretty similar, but that's because Kaylee isn't a problem. But, like, yeah, there's this like, I think there's this. It's almost like a really extreme version of, like, being a dad. Like, Jane was, like, being, like, the naughty kid, and he's like, so if you keep acting like this, I'll kill you, but it's only for your own good. Like,
I understand. I will blow you out of the fucking airlock style of parenting.
Yeah. It's almost like this weird tough love scenario where he's almost like, I think you're better than this, and I kind of hope that you are. But, like, yeah, I do agree. Yeah, Jane was definitely in it for himself in that moment. But I think also Jane needed to be reminded, like, this guy really is willing to kill anybody that crosses him. So I can't keep acting like this around him. But also, he gave me a chance, and I don't think anybody else would have done that for me. It was almost like this. Go ahead.
my favorite way of dealing it with it wasn't his, which kind of dealed off trust. It was actually Simon's, who played like he gave him a reason that was in his own benefit not to do it. It wasn't a threat so much as you will be in a situation where you're under my knife and you will need me. And so therefore, if you sell me out, then you will die and you will have caused it yourself. I preferred that logic than Malcolm's kind of, well, I'm just going to hope and trust you that you don't do it again.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is fair.
What was the thing though that like Jane says something to him that kind of makes Mal? What does anyone remember? Like exactly what Jane says?
Someone put it in the chat here. Jane showed remorse by saying, "Don't
don't tell the others what I did." Yeah, that's the thing. Like him showing that it's like I actually do care about these people because I care about what they're gonna think about me after I'm dead. And I think that was
legacy.
something.
Legacy.
Yeah,
it's very interesting how you feel when you think you're gonna die.
But also, please don't shoot me because I don't want to die.
But I mean, like, he easily could have reacted like, fine, well, like, you're the worst fucking crew ever. All these people are going to die. You're a terrible captain. Mal probably wouldn't have gone as well, you know?
No, I would have shot him.
No.
They're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Jane's not part of the crew anymore, everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate that line too. Yeah.
This line was so funny. You want to learn the ship? Yes. Well, you can't.
Well, you can't.
I was like, what are you going to say now, Mal? You can't?
Yeah.
Thought that was funny.
He's like, that's like, he called my bluff. That was rhetorical.
It's like, okay.
Giving the ship to Jane was not ever in the cards.
He always gives it right back.
Never ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Yeah. Which JS Pena for 199 says late in grooming.
JoJo is pretty freshly groomed.
I groomed this one this morning a little bit to make him look pretty. Thank you,
groomer.
JS Pena. Okay, groomer. Yep. Furious Phil for 10 says I aim to misbehave.
Best line.
Yes. I don't know if it's the best line. It's one of my favorite lines.
I think it is.
Best line is I'm a leaf on the wind.
Oh, okay.
That is not one of the best lines. Wow, I can't believe you said this.
Well, no, because I love that moment. That moment had more power for me in that sense.
I'm so my heart is broken.
I'm a leaf on the wind.
It's too soon.
Andrew for £5 says, Mark, did you watch The Legend of Vox Machina?
I have not yet, but again, I did finish High Rise Invasion.
Okay.
I'll get to it though.
Furious Phil for 5. If I snap at anyone, sorry, I'm quitting smoking. I already have anger issues, which sucks.
Yeah, all right.
Is nobody likes quitters. Now I am one. Is it really quitting though?
Always remember that the anger that you feel while waiting for your next cigarette is caused by the nicotine withdrawal from your previous cigarette. Got to break the cycle.
Boom. Yeah.
Got to break the cycle. Big Raj for 199. Thumbs up, super sticker. Thank you. And Tugs for 20 says, I miss you. I have so much to tell you. I love you. I love you too.
Ooh, the eyes.
Tug secretly got married.
It might be tea time after the stream, everybody.
I have a lot of
to be Vegas. Like she lives in Vegas all the time, so she goes to Dallas for a shotgun wedding.
Yeah,
imagine.
That's how you do it. Yeah.
We're supposed to go to Utah. Tugs, are you married? They're going to marry me. Andrew Matthews for £5. I have had back spasms that caused my vision, to white out and could not do anything till it passed. That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Imagine getting hit so hard that happens to you. I can't even.
Gosh. And I have one more low water mark for $50. No message, but to say I like all of you. Aw, thank you. And we're not low here. And then I have one from, they just donated almost a week ago, not on a stream. It says X-Ray Simp 20 for that rack that always makes me smile. Wow.
Yay.
Okay. Thank you.
I promise that one wasn't me.
Thank you. All right. Okay. So we're in Beaumont now. I think we had this good introduction established, and we get to see them making a deal with the twins. And we also see a commercial, an Odie commercial that triggers oh my god, that triggers River into the weapon that she is. And I thought this scene was very interesting for two parts. So we see one part where they throw money to this girl who has like these big huge fans, and then she's hiding them from the camera. So I'm like, oh, this place has deep dealings that people do often, so this must happen quite a bit so that they hide things from the cameras. So that's one thing that stuck out to me. And then 2, of course, the fighting scenes. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. What was your big takeaway kind of from the scene, or what was your impression of it?
I'll let somebody go first. I don't want to rant every time.
Disparu, go.
I thought it was weird because, like, as far as I can tell, these people are essentially innocent. Most of them aren't even attacking her. Some are running away up the stairs.
Yep.
And she's just annihilating all. And it doesn't even make a big deal out of it. It's like, oh, well, she was just coded for this. It's fine. And you're like,
she's not
what?
killing them, though. That's a pretty important
Although she was almost going to kill Malcolm, though.
You would have thought for someone that was
that
like
might have
had
been plot
some kind of programming for weaponry or something, it'd be a bit more targeted than just everyone around you, unless that was coded into the message. I can't really remember.
I think it was because they were trying to find her. They wanted to do something
that deal as physically possible.
Like exactly. They wanted to make it be like, wait, hold on, this like 80-pound girl just became a ninja master and started like wiping the floor with a bunch of like grown dudes.
But yeah, I think the fight scene itself was cool. The way I first saw it coming into the movie fresh was just like, what on earth is going on? I actually couldn't remember this. I thought, because the thing that impacted me the most was her next fight scene. So when I saw this was first, I'm like, I don't even know why is she cracking down all these people?
Fighting? What's happening?
Yeah. I even think coming from the TV series into this is a little bit jarring that she just kicks off, because you haven't had any hint that this is happening in the TV series at all. That this can even happen to her.
I think though, with the subliminal signal, they do kind of explain why all of a sudden this happens and it didn't happen before.
Oh, it all makes sense. It's just a case of it really comes out of the blue that she can do all of this.
They ramped it up like enough of degrees that there's no in between. Yeah, we never saw like
it was 0 to 100.
Yeah, it was 0 to 100. But I love the choreography. I thought the choreography was great in that scene. And then Summer Glau, the actress, is actually a dancer, and I kind of love that they lean into that with her movements. They let her play to her strengths in that. But yeah, it's so jarring, and I kind of love there's like her crew is like, what is happening? But I love that Mal doesn't really get going until she pulls the gun and fires it. And he's like, oh, I better do something. Like, yeah, well, like you should have done something before. But he's like, well, yeah, but like she's shooting people now. Like, he's
like sitting there with the twins, and they're like, do you know her? He's like, oh, I really don't know her. And just like, wow. I mean, that's truthful, I suppose.
I do kind of like that he takes a beat before he gets up to stop her. Like he's just like,
oh my god. And Jane
what
getting completely beat up, like I don't know. Okay, so there's a part where he like holds on to her
like
from
a bear
behind,
hug.
and then I don't know, I think this is what happens. She brings her arms down, smacks them, then pulls something that is really painful on a man. Is that what happens? They never really show where she's grabbing. But in any case, I feel like she's hurting something on his man parts. And it's just funny to see him not go super angry from that. Yeah. Because our typical Jane probably would.
Yeah, she does grab him by the junk.
Okay, so it is. Okay.
This is also the scene, to jump back a little bit, where Kaylee was like, I haven't had anything twixt my nethers, which wouldn't run on.
Oh my god.
Okay, I've heard enough. I could stand to hear a little more.
It doesn't have batteries in it. I'll be in my, what does he say when Inara's kissing that lady?
I'll be in my bunk.
Yeah. That's so great.
No, but I was Mal though going like, I can't know that. And then Jane's like, I could stand to know a little more. That was the greatest. Like, he's just like, I don't know, you don't have to stop talking about that.
Yeah. I still love that one of like her biggest hook is she's like, I just need sex and it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like, I just need this and you guys won't, like, something keeps stopping it. And like, that's almost like her story conclusion is, I got it. Like, I got some, guys, isn't that great? And we're like, hey.
Almost the least realistic part of the whole show, like hyperdrives aside and everything, is that Kaylee didn't ever just think to go to Salmon's bunk in the night, knock and be like, hey, what are you doing right now?
Any of you say no to Kaylee?
No, like, I mean, especially being Simon in the situation. I mean, obviously I would if I were me because I'm married to you, but like if
Nice save.
Nice answer.
hey, no, like
Dodged it. He was like, it was slow mo, and he just like dodged it.
not my first rodeo, boys. I'm laying out the terms of my hypothetical so that my story is more believable. It's something Hollywood writers I think could learn a little thing or two about. But I really think though that if I were Simon being in a situation where we're assuming Simon is straight, I mean, like, let's say yes, there's nothing really indicating that he's not, and he does have a few moments with Kaylee for real. So, I mean, she came up to me and I'm Simon. I don't think there's anything that would stop me from saying yes, unless I'm like really, really tired. And even then I'd be like, could you come by tomorrow? Like that would be I wouldn't say no. I'd be like, hey, here's the thing. I just got off a 12-hour. Can I maybe sleep now? And I don't know. Yeah. What do you say about a nooner? How about that?
Boom.
Oh.
Afternoon delight. Yeah.
There's
a whole song written about it. Yeah. You got to figure it out.
They're in space. There's no time in space.
Yeah, the skyrockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
I don't know the song. I'm sorry.
That's a lyric from the song.
Oh wait, wow. Okay. Well then, there we go. A song. I'll add it to my homework list.
It's not about a rocket though. The rocket is something else.
It's a penis.
Just like
I've heard you say worse on Poor Choices. I don't know why you act like that's surprising.
I don't know either.
I was gonna say, come on now.
So I like to add. That's how I would act in real life. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
I'd still act a little shocked. Whatever. Okay. Anyways, so where are we now? We just did the interaction. They bring her back on the ship. I think it's funny that they tease Jane, that he got beat up by a little girl, 90-pound girl. She looks like she's 90 pounds. But the one thing I will comment on is that even though she's 90 pounds, the fight choreography that they do for her is believable. And I think that like, it's powerful to say that because, I mean...
She's moving very fast, specifically, and sort of unconventionally. So it's kind of hard to know exactly what she's going to do next. And it's like, man, like I've been in enough like boxing matches and kickboxing matches that if someone pulls off something that you really didn't see coming, it's pretty easy for them to tag you. Like most of being able to survive in a fight is being able to read the opponent. So
yeah, I'm just trying to think of some choreography that I've seen before that is so unbelievable. Like you're like, are you actually fighting? I don't get it.
Oh,
probably a Miss Marvel thing. I don't know. I never watched that show, so I have no clue.
Oh, we've had some. I mean, there's been some. It's because they're so bad that you just need to forget about it. But yeah, there's been movies like that. Yeah, where like the 100-pound woman like jumps up and like grabs a guy by his neck and like throws him across the room.
And you're like, oh,
it doesn't happen.
Or does the standing kick push thing with no momentum into it, and you're like, you get pushed the other way. That's how physics
this guy's
works.
like 3 times your size. It's never gonna happen.
Yeah. It would be hard to do a push kick on someone that would send them flying if you are a giant dude who can kick well too. Though. That's just.
Oh yeah, I've seen.
You don't have a lot of
Steven
leverage.
Crowder test it with his staff. He's like,
really?
even I can't do this on you. And he got like the weediest person in the office to try and kick.
That's pretty funny.
That's actually funny. I need to see that video.
Yeah, it was good. I think he said like the only way you could even get it to work is if he sort of was able to get a step so he could put his body weight into it. That's the only thing that even slightly works.
You need to move with like almost all types of fighting. You learn that movement is coming from your center. So when people just stand there and kick, you're like, you're not putting the movement into the literally movement to create
Throwing
that force.
your body weight into the strikes is what gives them power. Like you can hurt someone by just throwing a jab. Like that's really what a jab is. It's your fastest strike that is really just supposed to leave the opponent open or stun them for a second so that you can throw a cross or a hook or an uppercut. And if like the whole point of the jab is just you fire it fast and you're not throwing any weight behind it, because if you throw a cross that you're trying to actually do some damage with, you throw your weight into that to give it its power. And if you miss, you're off balance and wide open. So that's why you want to lead with the jab.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna move into meeting Mr. Universe and his hot bot wife.
Yeah. Starting to see a theme with Joss Whedon, you know, about these like dolls that don't have any personality, and they're like, oh
wow, Dollhouse, that's on the list.
Mysteriously incredibly strong tiny teenage girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of his thing.
I guess. I think it's kind of funny now that we're in 2022 that this hot bot wife actually is realistic.
That's what we drew from sci-fi. They're like, look at this spaceships and flying cars and all this stuff. They're like, robot.
We have flying cars and we have robot wives now.
Yeah.
I mean, some are blow up dolls, but I mean, if you're rich enough and you have a robot, I've seen it and heard about it.
Yeah.
X-Ray Girl, out of curiosity, not asking for me, asking for a friend. How rich is rich enough?
For a robot wife?
No, never mind. It's okay. It's cool.
Just hypothetical.
You don't have to be jealous about a
What,
robot
Mark? Do you want a
mistress.
robot wife?
No, obviously
Doesn't
not.
everyone want a robot?
You don't have to be jealous of a robot mistress. You just unplug her at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, no.
I mean,
If I'm really mad,
Yeah.
if I'm really mad, I'll destroy the battery. Be like, ha! You can't have her for a couple days.
Well,
I mean, it just means I have to do the work.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike has to do the work, or Disparu, not me.
yeah, not him. He's, well, I mean, I'm married too, so.
Disparu,
But she's not
you
here.
horn dog.
Wow, blame the Brit.
Yeah. Well, because he's the least likely of all of us to go.
And he's
"I'm
a
gonna get robot
foreigner."
wife." 'Cause he's
Yeah.
like, I also like how he's a foreigner, but I'm the only one from America here.
Technically, yeah, you're a foreigner.
Oh,
to
yeah.
us.
we're all foreigners.
No. You and I are the majority. How does it feel?
It's true. yeah.
Asian woman and crippled
Yeah,
man?
Wow,
Canada's
we
not
are
a real
a
place.
very diverse panel here.
Yeah.
Um,
Italian,
mhm, mhm.
That's what always gets me on a lot of the streams. I was like, Mike's the diverse one. I'm like, I'm from a different continent. Like, you're all Americans. You're
Culturally,
not
he's
diverse at all.
actually way more
You know what
different
they
from
mean
me.
when they say it. It's just skin color. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
I
that's the
guess-
thing. Because to the rest of the world, everyone just goes, just a lot of Americans. Like, to everyone else, it's like, hey, you might as well be the
I just
same.
realized G&G has a lot of associates from the British Isles, but you're the only actual like G&G person who's a Brit. Like, and
Yes.
that just occurred to me now that I thought of it, because I was like, oh, I mean, no, there's Az. I was like, no, Az is on FNT, and Mahler's on Real BBC and stuff, and does, but yeah, that's it. Drinker? No.
Drinker. Okay. So what was I about to say? They talk about Miranda, and I guess they never really find out what Miranda is at that point.
Yeah, we think it's a person.
They put River in some like closet, tie her up with like shackles on her wrists. They don't know what she's going to be when she wakes up. And then we see a scene, and I think this is another powerful scene. Like, it's very muted in a sense that there's no dialogue, but the operative goes to visit Inara, and there's this look. He comes up, and she's like all this welcoming. She's smiling, being probably a good welcoming host. And then her face just like immediately falls, and she realizes what happens. And I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool because obviously, yet again, this doesn't happen quite often in dialogue or non-dialogue, where it's nonverbal cues. And I think she portrays it so well that she's like, I can read people. I'm reading this person is not a good person. He's here for some nasty business. And it's all in just this like 3-4 seconds of a look change. And I don't know. You don't get that quite as often anymore.
No.
So
Well, because Joss Whedon does not treat his audience like they're stupid. I mean, he may whatever for about his character and stuff. He's a good writer. He always has been. And number one rule in Hollywood is show, don't tell. That is the number one rule for writers is you need to show, don't tell. If you can get away with showing it without adding dialogue, it's good. But today's audiences, they treat them like they're stupid. And so what they would have done in today's writing is she would have walked in and been like, oh, you're a bad guy. Oh, you're an assassin. You're an assassin for the Alliance. They probably call you an operative. I've heard about you guys before. And I've been like, what is this?
I think it's less that the writers think we are stupid and more that the writers are stupid and don't
stupid too,
understand that they wouldn't have to have things explaining everything a mile a minute if their shows and movies weren't kind of a series of almost disconnected events that needed to be tied together by the characters being like, and now we need to go to Pakistan because this is where we're actually going to find the guy who has the information that we need to get the item that we need to find this thing where the base is, where there's actually the bad guy who's holding the princess. Yeah. It's like
there's a lot of studies done on the fact that more intelligent people think that they're thicker than they are in relation to the population, whereas thick people think they're cleverer than they are in relation to the population. Which is why you get this whole thing where they write at their level as if everybody's stupid, but they simultaneously, you can just sense the smugness coming off the scripts. Like, they think like really intelligent, complex political intrigue, and everyone's thinking, what on earth has just happened here?
And they think the more shit they throw into it, the more complicated and deep it is. When it's like, no, you're just complicating things to the point that you're not even telling a story that makes any logical sense anymore. It's like, no, we've been explaining how it makes logical sense this whole time. Be like, yeah, but every single explanation, like, I would have questions for almost everything that you fire out there as like, hey, this is why this makes sense.
With like a vague, it's not vague. They purposely put these expressions on, but it in a sense, it's vague because it's not words. It's like we derive our own meanings from what we see. And I think that's a good thing. Like, we want to be creative in ourselves and our interpretation of what's happening. And Hollywood isn't allowing it through some of the stuff that they're putting out there. And that's why I don't think people like myself is as interested. I started falling off, of course, after the Avengers movie, after
Endgame.
Thanos. Endgame, yeah. Because it started getting to like, you need to feel this. No, portray how you want me to feel in different ways. Don't tell me how to feel, because I'm going to be a rebel teenager and be like, no, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and that's the thing. Like, Captain Marvel was not a good movie. It wasn't. I will say this. It was painfully average, which makes it a bad movie, because after Infinity War, everything has to be compared to that level of writing, because if you do it well enough, then you don't get away with doing it badly, because it means you're lazy. And like, from that point, I mean, because even the Endgame is not that good of a movie. Like, it's driven by nostalgia and payoff. And so it's like, this is for you and for fans that have stuck around all this time, which is why critics were like, it's really for Marvel fans that have watched all the movies. It's like, well, no shit, that's what it's supposed to be. It's
it's for Marvel fans who need to forget a lot of the character developments and details from a lot of the earlier movies and just pretend that whatever people are is just what they are now, and it's fine.
Yeah. Are you happy with this? I mean, and so like I watched Endgame a couple times with different people in the theater, but like I haven't really gone back and rewatched Endgame. I watched Infinity War more because it's actually a pretty good movie. Like, it's, I mean, it's well done. I mean, but yeah, that's the thing. I think there's a lot of that I think there's another issue with specifically the Marvel formula and Joss Whedon. He's a better storyteller when he's not stuck to a formula, can do his own thing. And he was definitely getting put in more and more of a box of, this has to be a beat that you hit. And because I think the movie that he was trying to write with Age of Ultron would have been phenomenal if he had been given the chance to break off the formula, but he had to introduce 2 new characters and all these other things that, like, so that's also part of it.
They announced that like right away too. They're like, oh yeah, good news, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are going to be in Age of Ultron, and most people are just like, the X-Men characters? What?
Yeah.
Like, how?
Well, they're not mutants. They're something else, maybe, or something. Yeah. Yeah. So,
what even is Wanda at this point? I don't think Raimi has an answer for that.
She's just good at everything except not dying from rocks.
Yeah. But her power came from the Infinity Stone, but she's had it all along. But she got a lot stronger once she got the Darkhold.
A lot of butts in this.
Yes, enough. I know.
But no real butts. And that's the
no real butts.
Part.
A lot of butts, but not the real ones.
No.
We need more butts, but not the ones they're showing us. Yeah. Okay, so they go end up visiting Shepard. He's in this little town, I guess in the outskirts of the Alliance. And the main thing I got from this is that Shepard just says, you need to have a belief. And he says it to him. And, I don't think he believes in something at that point. And I think that's kind of intuitive of Shepard to see that. And then what happens next? Inara's talk that she has asking for help to Mal.
Yep.
And that was kind of fun to see because you know what's happening. She's obviously being held by the Operative, and his crew's watching him have this super awkward talk like, oh, you need help? Okay, I'll come and help. Sure, why not? And the immediate first thing that he comes out and says, it's a trap. And why was it a trap? We didn't argue.
Yeah.
You were listening? Yeah. You hear us argue? No? Trap.
The trap. It's a trap.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. It's so great. Yeah.
It's
there was
so
no
great.
fight. It's a trap.
Yeah. Like that
Yeah.
he's able to read it, and that, like, you know, we're thinking, is she going to give some sort of tell? And that apparently was the tell, because they do fight a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, she was too nice to him.
She was too nice. She didn't make fun of him. They didn't fight. So, and I mean, I love that the entire crew also is like, there's, what is it called when you they're shipping the two of them together, but it just never happens. They want them.
Kind of happens a little bit in the episode with Saffron.
That
she kisses him, and then that's how she gets knocked out. With Christina Hendricks, the first one that she's in. Yeah.
What do you
like Inara does?
to?
She kisses Mal. It's not like
when
nothing's
he's
ever happened.
unconscious on the floor. Yeah.
Oh,
And that's,
okay. Sorry, I didn't know what you were hinting at.
No, you guys said that it would probably never happen. I'm like, well, I mean, it's not like nothing's happened.
I just don't think
both of them conscious.
I just don't think they would have ever actually ended up together. Mal has would have had to put a lot of work in to get past where he was at. That's all.
Well, and then she'd have to give up her career, and I don't think at this point that she is willing to, unless she knows that Mal
I think they had at least enough chemistry that she could have given a free companion weekend.
Yeah. But Mal would have never accepted that.
No, because it's supposed to, Mal, I think he's a
Have you seen Inara?
He's a relationship guy. Oh, of course.
But he's in love with her, and that's
he's absolutely in love with her. And if it's all or none for him, you know, when he had that relations with the other companion, what's her name again, Nandy? That was a heat of the moment. They were drunk, they were flirting, and she knew the stakes and he knew the stakes. So, you know, it's like, we are going into war. Okay, sure, let's just get this out with. This could be our last night.
Yeah. I'm sure it'd go against some kind of companion rules as well, though, because they won't want companions like falling in love with people. So not getting with people that you're actually interested in is probably a
part of the deal.
One of the rules.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't think you can be a companion and in a relationship.
I don't know. I still think that, like, if again, spoilers for Buffy. If Spike and Buffy ended up getting together, I really don't think Inara and Mal is out of the cards entirely. Like,
their scene when Buffy's invisible is one of my favorites, because someone walks in and they don't know she's there. I think that's awesome.
That's pretty good.
Wow.
You'll get there, honey.
Where's this? You can't make a companion into a housewife. She won't make you a sandwich. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I mean, she was even considering being like a full-time companion for the fencer dude.
I think she would entertain it. She wouldn't actually do it, though.
Think she might from that. I'm kidding. Hey, we can move on. But yeah, so then we have the first conflict with Mal and the Operative, right?
Yeah, we get to see them interact, and I thought that was like a fun type of moment. He comes in this like headdress disguised as a woman.
Yeah.
Second time for him, you know, he had a bonnet on the first time.
Yeah,
he apparently plays a woman really well, and I love this scene because it's so tense, and even Inara's like, you can't handle him. It kind of builds the Operative's character, and I honestly thought that he killed the Operative.
Well, that's
first shot.
That's why the scene is so great, because I love, like, the Operative's like, you know, like they're like kind of jabbing back and forth, and he's like, this isn't gonna work. Like, you can't talk me into anything. Like, this is fine. And he goes like, I'm blah blah blah. I'm alone. I'm unarmed. And he's like, good. And he doesn't even. Like, it's the most Han Solo thing ever. I mean, he pulls that gun out and shoots him so fast. And if he wasn't wearing body armor, dead. I don't think Mal would.
I like too that the operative sort of loses his cool for a minute there. Like, he comes up jokes where he's like, I am of course wearing full body armor. I am not a moron.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, you really think I'd be that dumb? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And I love this line here. You can't make it angry. Please spend 10 minutes with him.
Well, and that's what's so great too, is like, right off the bat, these two like forces of nature, like going back and forth, because the fight is obviously like not about the fight. It's about these two clashing with each other. But the fact is, like, the operative is obviously way more trained and everything, but Mal is just full of so much piss and vinegar, it doesn't matter. He's gonna keep coming at him, and he's like, all right, I gotta kill this guy. Like, he's like, what other choice do I have at this point? Like, he goes and gets his sword because he's like, if I don't kill him now, he's going to keep coming at me. Like, Yep.
And I love that Inara was so smart that she, at the very beginning, and she plays this off so well, when she lights up the incense and she's like, I'm praying for you, because she's acting like he's dumb, which, I mean, in some cases he does act dumb, but it's her way of lighting the flash bombs that she thinks she's going to need, which they ended up needing. Marvel, Disney, this is how you do strong female characters. They don't have to fight. And she got her
Chekhov's gun
butt beat too. Oh my god. He like punched her and threw her against the wall at some point too.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great scene.
It was like, it was like as far as like writing, like, this is how you do. They basically executed a Chekhov's gun scenario in a single scene that sort of made sense that way. And Chekhov's gun is when the rule for a playwright, the playwright being Chekhov in this situation, said if you show a gun in the first act, then it needs to be fired by the third act. Like, if there's a gun like on the wall or something. So they show her lighting the incense, and then it's like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm praying for you. And that almost seems like a just, kind of like, oh, it's her making a little quick joke. Thing. But then they make it relevant, and it's like, oh yeah, no, this was actually set up at the beginning of the scene. It wasn't like, all of a sudden, Inara is just like, and that over there, that's not incest. We look over, and that's the first time we're even seeing incense burning. Like, setting it up and have Mal kind of be like, what are you doing? Was, I thought, a very good way to do a setup and payoff within one scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially as, like, this is... You still don't really know Inara at this point, so it adds to her character as well. Like you said, she's missed out at the start of the film, so showing her that she can plan this kind of stuff ahead and can handle herself as well. Because that was always been one of the things, she's gone around with Malcolm and everyone, but she will have been in dangerous situations on her own, and she also knows, like, even if she wasn't there, she'd know how to handle herself. Because you would need to as well. If you're like a woman going around the universe on your own, in that kind of business, you're gonna have to know how to handle yourself.
She doesn't have a pimp, so she's got to do it on her own.
She's got to pimp herself. Yeah. She's got to be Gator. Yep. Yeah, but I love that scene. That's my favorite scene in the whole movie. I also love, like, he's like, if I offer, he's like, if I play the man of honor, however, Umbridge will play the brigand, and then he says the other part is like, you play the man of honor,
he knows his plays. So if I do this, this is what you do. If I do this, this is what you do. So the only thing I'm going to do is say, give me River Tam, and then you all can be free. I won't hurt you.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm 100% aware of, like, this is not what things, like, I know how you're going to play this. I've already figured you out, but I kind of love that he doesn't actually have Mal figured out. He just, because he takes everybody as in the same way that he lives his life, he kind of takes everybody in a binary sense of, like, once I've read you, that's who you are. And so we have this, like, fight between these two, and Mal is not at all what he assumed he was. And it pays off so much later in the movie. But, like, the fact is, these two having this engagement, he assumes right off the bat, this is how Mal is. This is what he really is. He's just this, like, scoundrel guy that'll do whatever he needs to do. He has no real belief system. He doesn't really, like, have anything driving him, or anything like that. And it's like to his detriment. That fight does more, like, to the operative's detriment than it does for Mal after getting his ass kicked. So yeah.
And then I love when they escape, he releases these beacons and they end up like not catching him for that.
Yes.
And I think that's like, it's so ingenious. We think Mal is dumb, or at times he acts dumb, but he's actually like 1 to 2 to 3 steps ahead. And I think he's shown it a lot in the TV show and in the movie.
Yeah. Well, that whole section with the pulse beacon, he's like, please, like, you know, I have a warship in deep orbit or whatever. We locked on your signal, you know, the second we entered the atmosphere or whatever. And he's like, yeah. And he
Here's
throws
the
him the pulse beacon. And he's like, moron, I already
Got a
knew
death
it.
wish. Like,
Yeah.
he knows the Alliance's tactics like the back of his hand.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I've been running from you for so long. I know what you do. So I guess it goes into like the next scene when they're running away. They go into hiding at Shepherd's Town, and they find the town is on fire. A lot of people are dead. Even the kid that you saw earlier is dead. And we kind of revisit this whole word with the shepherd as you see him dying, and his last word is the word believe. Yeah. Malcolm's talking to him, and he's like, I want you to believe in something. Doesn't have to be God, but I want you to believe something. And I think that that message, it's clear at this point, is twice now, and his dying words is believe. So Malcolm, you best sure believe in something. But the main thing I kind of got from this scene was like, okay, he as in the operative is attacking people that they have contacts with. Literally every contact that they have has been attacked, and that now they're backed into a corner.
Well, that line, if your quarry goes aground, leave no ground for your quarry to go to. Like, it shows it's once again the back and forth. Like, Mal is just trying to run away from everything, does not want to face his head on, does not want to deal with this guy. He wants to get away from him and go back to the way things were. But the fact is, like, the stakes have gotten the stakes are so exponentially high because he has no idea what's really going on. Like, he's assuming, oh, you just want River, that's what this is all about. The operative is like, they wouldn't have sent me.
Why?
Yeah, they wouldn't have sent me to go hunt a girl down. They sent me because, like, everything is at stake here. Like, this is like, you know, so that whole thing, like, Mal has been trying to, like, live with his head in the sand and not believe in anything, because the last time he believed in something for real and really, like, dedicated his life to it, it failed. He lost. It was over. You know, so. And
this scene means a lot different depending where you came from, because the first time it came through, it's like, oh, it's killed Shepard. He's not a big character. I don't really care. But then when you've come from the TV series, you're like, oh, they've just annihilated a major character. Yeah. And so it makes you realize that kind of anything's on the table for this. They have no bars. They don't care what they're going to do. This is the last movie. These people are now genuinely at risk.
Yeah.
They're not going to have plot armor anymore.
Well,
so
and then Wash. Like, once Wash goes, you're just like, oh, this could very well end.
No.
Yeah, that's
I'm not willing to live with this.
Sorry. I broke the rule about not jumping ahead, but like, the major character deaths really give palpable stakes to this movie.
Yeah.
Like, you believe that this could end with all of them dying, and like, it might still be a happy ending if they get the message out, and then the world becomes, or the world being like the world of Firefly or whatever, not one planet obviously, becomes free. Then, you know, it's like that could be worthwhile as like a reason they sacrifice themselves. But, you know, that's
and at one point it looks like everything looks as if they've just failed. You know, this is they are all going to die, and that only works and only has any kind of weight to it because they've been killing characters off earlier like this.
And I think that the movie does that really well, where they continually just show us if they're failing. Yeah. There's a lot of failing in this movie.
But that's the thing. That's kind of the point. Is like that's their whole life has been just failure, and Mal's just been kind of living on borrowed time of like, hey, I failed, but like I just drift through life and try not to ever seem like I really give a shit about anything. When actually he's probably the most sensitive of all of them. You know,
but he has it with a really thick exterior, and I think that it kind of sucks that he wants to close himself off. But I think after losing the war, especially losing good people, in your crew. I don't know what the word for in war army is, but losing that, it's like how do you find
losing
yourself?
brothers in arms would be the
Brothers in arms, like how do you live with that? And we see it literally in the show. So
Yeah. Yep.
all right, so we find out that he's dead, or he dies in Malcolm's arms, and then we have this transmission from the operative talking to Malcolm. He's like, look what happens. Like, this is what happens. I told you this could have been easy. Should have just given River to me. But whatever that line you said, I forgot already.
If your quarry runs to ground, leave no ground for your quarry to run to.
So it literally, like, he doesn't care. He's trying to get to, what is it, lawfully evil? Like,
Lawful
he's just
evil,
lawful evil. Like, he just wants the River, and he'll do anything to get her.
And Mal's also like chaotic good, so they're like polar opposites.
Yeah. And then we have this like amazing interaction between the two of them, like where he's like, well, I don't kill children, and he's like, I do.
I
like,
do.
If
I'm willing to admit
he's
it.
He's like, buddy, you don't get it. Like, I will do anything. And then he's like, well, good for you. Because like the whole time too, Mal's been assuming, oh, you're trying to make this better world for you. And I don't know why you're doing, he's like, oh, I'm not
going to live in it. Yeah.
I don't get
God,
this world's not for me.
Like, this is, I'm a monster building a world.
I am evil. I'm a weapon. Essentially,
basically, if the utopia ever comes to be, he would just kill himself because he'd be like,
he's like, I will never live there.
Kill himself like Thanos, kind of just, I'm satisfied. I'm totally happy.
He would die knowing that he did the work, put in the work. Yeah. But like, it's such a great line. But that's, once again, he's such a great freaking character. Like that whole section and that back and forth. And the fact is, like, Mal is just getting increasingly more frustrated and like more desperate because he doesn't know what to do. But like, he does kind of know what to do. But like, that whole exchange is amazing.
Yeah, so. I think it's interesting. This is how you do a villain that feels like he's doing altruistic behavior.
Yes,
and like, and yet again, it's about the word belief. Like, he just believes that to the core what he's doing is good. And I think villains who do that, and even in protagonists who do that, that's where you create such great characters. You don't like. I feel like we don't get that a lot.
No.
And I keep repeating that, but
and I think that those kind of people are way more common in actual real life. That people will do things that they think are right, and it's everyone else thinks they're wrong, rather than just people being like, "Oh, I just randomly do all this for pleasure." It's like, no, I think most people have a reason why they go through life and do things, even if they disagree with it. No matter how, like, even the most abhorrent people probably had some kind of logic behind their actions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the distinction is for a relatable villain is not, it's the idea that it's not, do you agree with the villain's actions? It's, do you believe that that villain believes that what they're doing is the right thing? So it's not do you like, yes, he is doing the right thing. It's like, no, he thinks he is to the core. And so I understand him because I get his thought process. I see how he got to that line of thinking. And that line, that I do, when he replies to Mal, say like, yeah, I don't kill children, is like that's kind of when I was like, Chiwetel Ejiofor's a really good actor. And when I heard he got nominated for 12 Years a Slave, I hadn't seen the movie, and I'm just like, yeah, he's gonna win. I was like, I was basing it on his performance in Serenity. I was like, yeah, this guy's really good. It's terrifying. Somebody said in the comments too, like a villain that can't be reasoned with, but not because they're crazy, because that's the thing. Ever since like The Dark Knight, and Heath Ledger did a great job as the Joker. It's a very good character, very great villain, but everybody assumes that that's how you do good villainy. And it's like, it doesn't just need to be chaos. Like, a lawful evil villain does not believe he's doing wrong. He believes he's doing what needs to be done to get whatever needs to be done. There's a specific person on this panel that knows that very well, because they made a character that did exactly that. And this guy here, because that's the thing. A lot of people were like, I don't get it. But I'm like, if you believe you're doing the right thing, nobody can tell you you're wrong.
Like they'll argue all day long, but you're not going to convince him any differently. And that's why he has the interactions with Mal, because he thinks Mal's trying to convince him or talk him out of it. And he's like, it has nothing to do with you talking me out of anything. I am committed to this. You're not. So that's why I'm going to win. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And even Shepard can see it at this point. That's why
That's
he
great.
says, believe.
Yeah.
Believe.
Yeah.
Anyways. Okay, so we see River is locked up.
Yep.
Jane tries to attack her or some sort
Yep.
of attack. We don't know, but she attacks him back, knocks him out. And she basically, there's a bullet shot. The crew comes running. The door's locked into the kitchen. The crew tries to run around. Simon stays. River comes out, opens the door, knocks him in the throat, then decides to go to the bridge and finally figure out where Miranda is, which we thought was a human, but now we find out is a planet. Also, that interaction with her and Malcolm when he's like at her gunpoint and he's, what did he say? He's like, just shoot me. And then she cocks the gun. He's like, wait, never mind. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Or don't.
Yeah.
I really like too the shot after she hits Simon. It's just like this like low angle shot of her like holding a gun and getting like crazy eyes. So you're
Yeah.
just like, oh my god, like what is happening right now?
You
She just
wonder,
hit
is she crazy? Is she crazy in this moment? Is she the weapon? And I think it was fun to see her be like, I didn't know what you were gonna do, so I knocked you out.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. River she did a great
Yeah.
job at that
She
too.
did
Yeah.
great job. And then, at the end when he's like, you didn't have to hit me, it's just like, I didn't know what you were gonna do.
Yeah.
So we find out where the planet is. It's apparently a barren planet. There was a terraforming event and nothing shows up, but Kaylee did say something where she's like, I remember posters saying recruiting you to this planet. So what happened? And they're going to go research it, I guess. Go
investigate.
check it out. Investigate. That's the word. But they have to move through Reaver territory, which is just a bunch of ships. There's bodies on them and blood painted on them. And they're really scary, So they have to end up disguising their ship as a Reaver ship.
This is
do
something
that?
I wish they'd explained like more, because they do go into explain what the Reavers are, but at no point do they say like how do they fix their ships, how do they repair them, do they have
See, that- I
engineers?
did
Because they're supposed to
think
just
that.
be really angry people, but at some
Like,
point someone's going
they
to have
don't-
to
They're
repair
They don't
functionally
know that they're
angry.
people. They don't know that they aren't like an alien species of some kind.
No, but later on, like when
Yeah,
they reach the planet, they find out. So like they never really explain how the Reavers actually upkeep the ships or anything. If they're just kind of
How do they eat? Well, we
savage
figured out how they
murderers
ate.
I was about to say, I was like,
Time.
we do kind of know how they eat.
We have Reaver
yeah.
engineers and Reaver pilots, and where do they get their bullets from? Like, how do they upkeep? That was something I thought about, a plot hole.
I think that it doesn't take a lot of inference to think that they don't upkeep the ships or repair them. They just get new ships, and like as they're reaving like different planets, and then that's why those ships start looking disastrous over time. They do probably adorn them with all like the Reaver stuff, but I don't think they go and like break the engines off the bat. I think they probably just steal the ships, and then over time they turn into those like kind of barely put together messes. I think it's a reasonable thing to say, like, well, if they're just feral people, how do they fly the ships? But
well, yeah, and why are they even around the planet holding territory? You'd think if they were just like aggressive murderers, they'd be going around the universe just attacking anything. Whereas they seem to be holding this planet like they got a defensive ring around it, essentially.
I think I guess that power in numbers. Maybe that's why they stay together.
I don't know. It did make me wonder if they had planned later on to maybe say there was something else. Like in Starship Troopers, it had the brain bug. Whether in this there'd be some kind of different sorts of Reavers that they could have done in the TV series and just didn't have time to go into it.
I think that's
reacts
probably
weird.
what it is. Yeah, it's because you're right. There's a lot more to like their structure and their culture that we don't know about, because it makes it apparent that there is some kind of culture that it's less chaotic than we assume it is, but also
They're just angry
I get that because you're like
pirates.
how do you guys make anything happen if you guys just go around
Yeah, if
doing
you're really aggressive, you should just go from planet to planet to planet to planet, just
Yeah.
ravaging everything.
Thank you for the super chat, Josh.
Yeah, Josh.
I thought you got rid of it. I was like, honey, you didn't read it.
Reavers don't. Yes, what Mark said. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh.
And I was like,
yes,
it was a guy agreeing with me. Please be nice to him.
someone said I'm out of order, and yes, I did get that out of order, so I apologize for that.
They are just merciless. They're like, you
Yeah.
missed something.
I'm sorry.
How dare you have a panel of 4 people and miss something?
I'm drinking wine. I love my wine. Okay.
That's why I'm here to back you up, baby.
Okay. So they take the bodies that are dead from the camp settlement, and they tie them up and put a cannon on top and paint it red. Maybe took a couple panels off. He got Kaylee to make the ship, hinting at the ship's kind of dying. So that he's like, make sure it runs, but I want something coming out of the ship's butt, to look like a reefer ship.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that,
can we point out the fact that like they had to take bodies of their friends
that was
and like
cruel.
innocent people, and they had to put them on their boat, their ship.
See, and that's just the thing with Mal. Like we kind of established it earlier. He's willing to do whatever it takes, even though like Zoe's like, "This is our friend. These are our friends."
Yeah.
And if you're not helping me out or taking my leave, then this is your port of call. Like, or I will shoot you down. Thing is like basically help or you're staying.
It's like a major survival thing, and I think like he doesn't want to do it. Well, that was it. Doesn't want, but will do it.
Yeah, and that's the only reason he survived this long. Because you get to a point with him, you're like, how on earth could one guy have got through all of these different things? But that is why. Because no matter what happens, no matter how bad things get, he's willing to do what it takes. And there are some people just, well, I'll never cross that line. It's like, well, okay, you did that.
That's your morals.
He has that line too. He's like, if I start fighting a war, I guarantee you'll see something new. He's like, just,
he says that to Inara.
Yeah. He's like, you think you know me, but you've never seen wartime out. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
I don't think I ever want to see that.
I think the like, okay, we're taking these dead bodies and turning the Firefly into a Reaver ship, or the Serenity into a Reaver ship. It was that I think was wartime. He's like, all right, this is happening.
That scene when they're flying through Reaver territory and they have that light beacon on them, and you can hear like screams on the transmission, and it's like that music that's playing that's super like tense. Like that was a scary moment. Like, what if things actually didn't go well?
Yeah.
And I think they prepped us for that. So
yeah.
Wow. It's a good scene. Another good scene. This show has a lot of good scenes.
And there's a line from that as well where he tells them to just get random junk and stick it on the outside of the ship, which I think does imply that the Reavers do modify ships. Like, it's not just base ships that they've stolen. They do, even if they've done it badly and just haphazardly stuck stuff onto the outside, they do affect the ships in some way. Like, do some work on them.
It's a fighting ship now. They changed it into a fighting ship, so.
Yeah.
All right, so we arrive in Miranda, and they've flown past a bunch of different cities. They have a beacon signal, and they arrive close to the beacon signal. Now, it is so quiet, not a peep, and in a civilized planet that is, has buildings and landing pads and streets and whatnot. I thought that was a really cool, creepy scene to kind of like come into and be like, what is going on with this planet?
Yeah.
They're like, there's no bodies, there's no power. And then they fall upon the dead bodies. And these dead bodies, there's no wounds, no fractures, no activity of poison. They just kind of just are laying there like they gave up.
Decided to take a little nap.
I thought that was really creepy. What were your initial thoughts on that?
Oh, it's extremely unsettling because you're like, what? Yeah.
For me, that was the moment. I remember seeing it in theaters when I was like, oh, this has ceased just being a good episode of Firefly, and this movie is doing some crazy stuff, because all of a sudden this is a terrifying horror movie, and it's a premise that I don't think I'd ever heard of before, because it's not like, oh, you land on a planet and a virus is taking out all these people, or there was a war here. It's like, no, these people just went to sleep and just died in place with no struggle. Like as if they all just decided, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And it normally goes the other way, where in a film or a movie, because it's quite done often, especially in zombie stuff, where someone will wake up out of a coma and they'll walk outside and there's no one around, but you're always waiting for something to jump out at you or appear. It's very rare they'll just be like, oh, everyone's actually just slowed down. It's like, no, and especially with the Reavers, you're kind of waiting for the Reavers to come out at them or something. And they kind of played it the entire opposite way. Which I like how they explain it as well, that they do the two extremes. So you've got like the really aggressive people and then the people that just, I can't be bothered anymore.
And honestly, as medications will often function that way. Like some people, very often, most people, the vast majority of people will get drowsy if they take dimenhydrinate or diphenhydramine. Diphenhydramine or dimenhydrinate, which is Gravol or not. Jace, what's the normal name for allergy med? Benadryl. Benadryl or Gravol. And like they're very similar medications, and they make most people very drowsy to the point that if you take 50 milligrams of them, you'll probably be asleep within 10 minutes. But some people, it gets them wired. And it's a very, very small percentage, but it's like the therapeutic effect is still the same, either nausea reduction or relief of allergy symptoms, like an antihistamine. And then the side effect, which is super drowsiness for like 99.999% of people, and then hyperactivity for everyone else. And I don't know, I've always found that really cool. X-Ray Girl has said, be right back. So it seems like if I've gone off on one of my longer than normal Ted, never mind, honey. Hi.
What did you do?
Nothing. Not a tangent.
Tangent.
Certainly not a tangent.
So you guys talked about how quiet was.
Yeah.
River freaking out by the silence. And I thought that was a kind of a cool scene with the panning camera around her.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about that already?
Nope.
No. I was talking about Benadryl and Gravol.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I just love like what this was saying too. Like
You'll have to rewatch the stream to find out.
Yeah, the tension that it builds because you're waiting for something like crazy to happen.
Yes.
And then it just doesn't. And then you find out it's actually the exact opposite. It's not some massacre that like people were slaughtered by the dozens. They just stopped. They just sat in chairs and died. Like, and how terrifying it would be to like think in your position in a position where you just stop caring about bodily functions. You're just not hungry. You just sit there and you can't get up. You can't be bothered to get up.
Yeah.
Like that was even more terrifying. Yeah.
That transmission not the transmission. So they go to the beacon and you get to hear that video that she had made about the drug that's supposed to calm down aggression. And
Sarah Paulson too. You know it's a scary.
So much.
You know it's a scary scene if Sarah Paulson's there.
Yeah,
you know you messed up when you got Sarah Paulson.
Yeah.
If Sarah Paulson is anywhere near you, watch out. Something bad's gonna happen.
So I just thought that that whole transmission was so awesome in the sense like she evoked this fear out of a drug that seemed like it was going to be good. It's like weeding out aggression. That seems good. You know, we don't want too much aggression. We don't want war. But then they died from just giving up. And then that whole 10%, a tenth, it did the opposite. And she never really hinted at things. She just said they killed and done things. And I think that it's even creepier that she didn't say what the things were specifically. And then she ends up getting attacked, killed. Like she tried to kill herself and it was too late for her. And like that was such a powerful moment that that made that transmission so good that Mal actually had a belief at that point.
Yeah. Yep.
She was so affected by the Sarah Paulson effect that she didn't see it coming when she died.
Yeah.
She realized, I'm always around Sarah Paulson.
Well, and once again, that dynamic of like up till now, like the nothing is like it's all just dead
survival,
and then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh my God, it's worse than you thought it was," and you're like, "Oh my God, it's worse than I thought it was." Like, and then the whole thing and. like that what they just witnessed was so like up till now we've known
We know about the Reavers.
well, we know that the main bad guys, wow, I don't remember the name of the
Alliance.
The Alliance. Wow. I was like,
Wow.
there's a word there that they're bad. We know that they're the bad guys, but we just like didn't realize how evil they were.
Millions of deaths.
Like an entire planet of people just gone. And they're like, so we're not going to talk about this?
Swept it under
It's
the
a
rug.
big one too.
Yeah.
Like because they were saying that like we passed at least a dozen cities that were at least this size, and the one they're flying over is huge.
Yep.
Very
And they're
effective
just-
way to maximize your scope.
They're like, so we messed up. Didn't go well. Maybe we don't talk about this, huh? Whole planet? Psst, Reavers everywhere. Nobody's going to ever check this out. The
No.
fact that there's just this thing knowing, because there's people in leadership that know there's a planet out there that we tried a drug on that killed the entire planet of people. And then not only that, but every time anybody has been killed by the Reavers, anytime there have been horror stories about the Reavers, any of
Added
that,
deaths.
they're
Yes.
Their fault, yeah.
responsible for that.
Yes.
All of it.
and
and
it
that they
kinda
just-
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you
No,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
No,
I was
you
gonna
go
say it kind of ties back to the beginning with that
No, you
prideful
hang
moment
first.
with the doctor was like, you had key members of parliament here in front of a psychic.
Key.
Key. Key.
And it's like
Go.
the moment it dawns across the scientist's face what he's just done as well. He had to have it spelled out for him, but then he's like, oh no. that was actually really bad.
Well, he's like, she probably won't even know what she's done.
Which
she probably has no
at
idea.
that point she did it, and
Yeah.
then the government triggered her.
Yeah, but he's just like, it doesn't matter because at this point, all bets are off because they've called me. Once they've called me, it's over, you know? Yeah. But then you realize how bad the stakes are and why the operative is out there right now because this isn't just a mistake. This is an egregious, like, horrible thing that could absolutely upset
Millions
the balance.
of deaths. Like that's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. And they didn't even try to clean it up either. They just like left them
Well,
dead on the street.
no one was gonna go to the planet though. They
So
knew that the Reavers were in the area. They're just like, well, who pointed us?
And the
going
fact that
there?
like
and-
somebody pointed
yeah.
out in the chat that they've been covering up the news about the Reavers. They've just
Yeah.
kind of like left them to be like this boogeyman thing.
Yeah.
that, you know. Yeah.
Well, and there was a scene prior to that. They were talking about Reavers and how they came about, and like Kaylee was saying, like Shepard thinks that they were just like they were on the Alliance, they were in the black for too long, and they just went crazy. And then Jane's like, "Well, I've been in the black, I've seen this. Why am I not crazy?" And I thought that was kind of like a great foreshadowing for how these Reavers came to be once you figured it out, right? Once you figured it out.
Yep.
So. Yeah, and then my favorite part after that scene was River gets sick, pukes, and then she's like, "I feel better now," and I'm like, that verbally, thematically, and visually, we actually see her let it all out and actually become a whole person again. She's not under any psychosis, and I thought that was kind of like a cool way to visualize that, to see that she's actually better. And of course, what we see afterwards is, of course, even better than that. Even better.
Yeah.
But, yeah. All right. So they figured out that they're going to spread the word. And how are they going to spread the word? Mr. Universe.
And his robot sex wife.
And yep.
Who becomes a critical component in like the fate of the universe. The robot waifu was the real hero of this story, guys.
Well,
That's what I'm
and
trying
almost
to
the real
say.
villain, though. She
Yeah.
told the bad guy where he was.
Well,
I
yeah, I
mean-
was about to say.
Yeah.
It's not even like the sending the transmission isn't even in the cards if she doesn't tell Mal, though. Mal killed me, Mal.
That's true.
Killed me with the
Yeah.
sword.
Yeah. So okay. So I want to say the scene that Mal is trying to drum up with his speech, like, we got to send out the signal. I found my belief now at this point. I thought it was a really cool scene where the light was coming up from behind him. He's kind of looking angelic. even Rivers there and kind of like thinking, oh my God, these are the two key people that are going to make this scene happen, this next battle scenes happen. And maybe it was a bit of foreshadowing. I don't know, or it just looked really pretty the way they shot it. But I thought it was foreshadowing for what will happen, who is going to kind of depend on these plans that he has. So if you guys remember it, yes, no, maybe so.
Yep. The Alliance will see this coming. Oh no.
Yeah, and this is where he says that famous line, "I aim to misbehave."
Yes.
And then Jane goes, "Shepherd Book used to tell me that if you can't do something smart, do something right." And like those two lines, holy crap.
Yeah.
I was so pumped after hearing that.
Yep. That's where it becomes Mal's movie, and that's where it does. It really picks up. Like, it's not like it was a bad movie before, but like it just, once you realize like Mal is kind of just done with it all, he's like, I think I'm just done taking shit now. And everybody's like, what? And he's like, I'm done. We're gonna go do something.
But
because his next decision is a death sentence. He knows that what he's triggers, there's no coming back from it. No one's going to survive what happens. So...
And I'll be back because I've realized that it is clearly sunset because I've turned into a J.J. Abrams film.
I was wondering. I'm like, damn, golden hour.
I felt like I should tell you guys that this is like a legit in-camera thing, which is happening right now. And
you gotta shake your camera a little bit too.
Nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with your phone. Yeah.
If your head was a little bit to the side,
J.J. Abrams film.
It would look
guess who's directing the Firefly reboot?
MarcTheCyborg. All right, so they plan to bring the transmission to Mr. Universe to broadcast it, and Wash brings up the point that there are literally two armies between him and Mr. Universe, Reavers for one, which they had passed through, and the Alliance.
Yes.
And my favorite scene, so they're coming back. They're flying through Reaver territory, and Mal's in his little spacesuit by the cannon. And right when they are about to exit, he shoots one of the Reaver ships. And then, of course, what happens? They chase them into one of the best scenes. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you like? Okay. What was your most favorite scene? Because clearly I just said what my favorite scene was.
Oh, it's
Mine's
100%
River at the end.
Okay. Oh, yes, I agree with that. That is up there too. Yeah. What about, well, Mark is not here. What about you?
Mine is 100% the fight between Mal and the Operative.
Okay.
Any scene with the Operative in the movie, I'm salivating because it's like,
wow.
He was already great, but the second time I watched it, I'm like, oh my God.
That's like me and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Mark didn't hear that, did he? Okay, cool.
Yes, I did. That very clearly.
No, I just the scene between them, their fight, but also the final fight between them. That was a good scene too. Yeah.
So they planned as they were leaving Reaver territory to have the Reavers as their army to fight the Alliance army, which I thought was absolutely genius. You know, the Alliance ships are waiting there. There's clouds of dust. The Serenity comes kind of first through the clouds, and they're like, cool, they're by themselves. Lock onto them. Get ready to shoot. And all of a sudden, the Reaver ships come, and he's like, holy mother effing.
So satisfying. It was like, yeah, this is how you do a final act.
And that was like my first, wow, he has a reaction. Oh my goodness. And yeah. That and we kind of said it earlier. He's just like, "What? Why are you guys firing? Fire!"
Yeah, like everybody's like around, like shocked, and he's like, "What? Do something! Like we're gonna die!" Like,
well, because you gotta remember, they're expecting one ship, and then they see one ship, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is, come on, at least make it difficult for us. Oh no, not that difficult. We're all gonna die.
Difficult.
Yep.
0.3 seconds.
That's the thing. The best part too is like, because whatever Alliance ship fails to like destroy a Reaver ship, something bad's happening to them. Like, if they don't stop the Reavers, they're all not just dying; they're all being tortured to death. So, yeah,
they're gonna get eaten, not in a good way,
or something else. Yeah,
guaranteed booty stuff's happening.
Booty stuff. Yeah, non-consent booty stuff.
Yeah. Bad kind of booty stuff.
Yeah.
It's not going to be adjacent.
Nope.
Not heartfelt.
Not heartfelt. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying the last one. I'm just not going to say the 69 one.
We get to see Wash in his prime. And
Yes.
this he says, this is my favorite line in the movie now. I'm a leaf on the wind. Watch me soar.
Yeah.
Is that how I said it? Did I say it right? Hopefully I did.
Yes.
And he's flying. He has to do some crazy stuff. You know, the ship's being like buffeted around. There's turbulence. Like they have to get strapped in. Jane's not strapped in. He keeps flying. And then the power goes out. And then all of a sudden he's like trying to reach for the power. It comes back on. And then he has to glide the ship in one of the most dangerous landings where they have a Reaver ship kind of chasing them. And he's trying to make sure they survive. And then they get to Mr. Universe to broadcast the transmission. And he manages to do it. And, you know, there's the one line that he did say to Mal. And Mal's like, what does that mean? I'm a leaf on the wind.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that was really it. And then
I was going to... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, because it relates to the three contexts, he says it in three very different ways. And the words are the same, or as much as he gets through of each of them each time. But he says it to talk himself up before he's doing a thing, to comfort someone who's panicking that he's not going to be able to successfully do that thing. And then when he says it, he realized that he's confused them and that he should just keep focusing on what he's doing. And then he says it in celebration that he did the thing that he was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Like, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. And that, I love
it made it
Wash's
beautiful
character.
last words though, because you saw it as like inspiring and then funny and then like triumphant and sad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because
He
nobody else
didn't
could
even
have
get
done
to
that.
finish. He didn't even get to finish those words.
Yeah.
And then I think it was a Reaver spear.
Spike,
I guess.
it was like a
Spike?
Yeah,
spear.
one of their harpoons. Yeah.
Harpoon. Yes.
Yeah.
And like I remember seeing it when I was younger, but I definitely did not remember it. And so when that happened, I was laying beside Mark and I'm just like, no.
Yeah, no, she was not okay for a little while.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't cry, but I was not okay because I didn't expect it. Like you're like, oh my gosh, they did it.
I was like
And then-
soy faced in the theater for solid time. I was like,
No,
jaw
even
just
Rocky
dropped
is
and
not
like,
okay.
oh my.
Yeah. Well, it reminds us
okay,
that like
Baby Joe.
these
It's okay.
guys are in over their heads, and like Mark said, the stakes are, or no, Disparu said this. It's like nobody's safe anymore. We
Yeah.
don't know at all what's going to happen, and nobody's safe. And for every moment of triumph, there are 2 steps backwards because you're not fighting. Like you're not fighting a single entity. You're fighting an entire like belief system, and then you're also fighting like chaos. You know, I do have to point this out. I know it's your stream, but the super chat, it hit me where it hurts, and I don't know if you wanted to read that real quick.
Which one?
It's from Andrew Matthews.
Okay, yeah, sure. Oh no.
Oh,
He's like, hey, while
Sorry,
you're busy,
Sorry. My dog tried to throw my top down.
Yeah, good
Andrew
job, Rocky.
Andrew
That's my boy.
Matthews for 5.
You've been training him.
Oh gosh. How do Reavers clean their harpoons? They run them through wash. No! Wow.
too
And
soon.
the weird thing with his death as well, though, is it comes out of nowhere, and then they can't like grieve for him because people are going to come down to kill him, so they have to leave.
They have
And
to just go do their thing.
Yeah, it's like another Shepherd one, except it's worse. Because I remember the first time I saw it, I'm like, he hasn't really been that main a character. You've seen him for a bit, but he's not like Malcolm or the rest, where he was played that big of a role. So I didn't really care the first time around. The next time, like, I can't believe they killed off this guy in that way.
Yeah.
I was just like, well, guess we better go in there now. And
He was
I do,
like
that's
a
what solidifies
bright-
the fact that now there is 2 armies. They had to get through 2 armies to get here. Now they've got to get 2 armies to get out. So they're probably not getting out.
Yeah.
No, and they kind of allude to that during the battle scene too. So I was very sad about it. I think most people were from the sounds of the chat.
That's awful. It's the worst.
We know Mr. Universe got knifed by the guy, and after his talk with Mal. So they get off the ship. They find a place to hold to battle the Reavers, and Mal goes down the elevator to go to see Mr. Universe. And during all of that, before he even left, he had to just check in with Zoe. He's like, "Are you okay?" Essentially. And I'm like, if you lose your husband and you have to go fight, you're not okay. Even though she says she's okay. She's a soldier. Yeah, I think she's pretty smart, but I know she has to know she's not okay in that moment. And I think she was trying to throw like a big facade.
I don't think he meant that though. I think she knew as a soldier, he meant, can you function?
Yeah.
Really it.
And I think she functioned well enough.
Yeah.
Well
that's the thing. Like the one thing we know is that like she's his right-hand man. She's not Mal. But Mal knows her, and she is capable of functioning with Mal, not just when he's the captain of the Serenity, but also when he's the captain, like when he's out there in war. Like, so he knows her too. Like, you almost see her switch back to soldier, like, and like this is not good. But like Disparu says, they're on a mission now. Like Mal was already there. He doesn't have to switch over. He's just like get it to keep going. Like, we need to keep moving. We don't have time to stop for this. And like it, as cold as it is, it's exactly what she needed because that's what they signed up for. They did not go here thinking that this was going to go extremely well for them. They came here knowing that any of them could lose their lives. And then when it happens, they don't have any time to stay and talk and be sad. She has to keep going because he needs her to keep functioning. So yeah, I think if she had stopped and given up, he would have left her behind. Like, I just don't.
Absolutely.
Yep. Which is why it's so amazing, because once again, like, Mal is like the Operative's like the other side of the same coin. Like, he's like, when I've had enough shit, we got to get moving. We got to go. And like, we do not have time for feelings. Like,
part of being a soldier for sure.
Yep.
So they hold the line there. Zoe and Jane have this like little interaction. Jane's like, "You think we're getting out of here?" I don't think so. And then,
well, I might.
He's like, "I might." And then Simon and Kaylee, and I think this is so funny. I think Simon has a lot of regrets, and as he's speaking to her, he's like, "I just wanted to keep River safe. That was like the forefront of everything I was doing, and then I ignored everything else for myself." And his only regret at that point was being with her. And I love the way she phrased this. "You mean to say as in sex?"
All it's been about this whole time. She's playing the long game.
I know. And then I love how he's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Hell with this. I'm gonna live."
That was so wonderful too, because it sort of like it gives the audience a little bit of hope, because it really is kind of looking like it's like, oh, this is a one-way trip for all of them. And then Kaylee, in that moment, you're just like, oh no, wait, this movie might have kind of a happy ending.
I need to get it in. So I'm gonna live. I've been waiting for this.
I really need some, and I've been waiting for this a long time.
Yep.
I'll kill anything between. No, yeah.
I mean, she didn't do very well, to be fair.
Bring on the Reavers, bring on the Alliance.
No.
So I'm just gonna get through the first bit with the fight with the crew, and then we'll talk about the Operative / Mal fight afterwards, which I know is most of y'all's favorite scene. So the Reavers are, I think this whole scene was so well done. You see the windows and you see like the banging of the Reavers. They're slowly getting through the door, and Zoe and Jane are like, "No one shoots first. We'll shoot, and if they get past us, Then you guys start shooting. And what happens? The door starts opening. And Zoe's just like shooting all the Reavers. She decides to go all Terminator because of
she decided to die in that moment.
Yeah, I really think so too. And then she gets slashed in the back and she's not doing so well. So Jane pulls her back. What else happens?
I gotta point out too,
Go ahead.
that's Zoe when she gives no shits.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She was planning to die, but that's how dangerous she is. That even planning to die, she's just dropping fools like left and right,
and just like voluntarily going balls first into a Reaper nest, like just like nope. I'm going to like I'm getting up close with like a lever action shotgun, just going for it,
just laying into them. So.
Even this shows the difference between TV back then compared to TV now, where this is a much bigger army trying to get through a narrow corridor into a smaller force, but it allows you to defend it as you'd expect. Like they give them choke points.
It's almost like tactics were considered.
Well, exactly. But then compare that to Kenobi, where you've just got two armies standing there with no cover in an open doorway. Just no one's getting shot because everyone's missing. It's like it takes a deliberate effort to not care about what's going on when we already know that
I don't know if you know this, but stormtroopers not being able to hit anything is canon. Okay, so
but what about the rebels not having any kind of cover?
Disparu, I don't know if you know this or not, but the Force protecting all the rebels is canon. Okay, it's the Force.
They didn't want to hit him, Disparu.
That makes it worse because that probably would be the excuse that they use.
No, like,
oh no,
I'm serious, Steve. Like, I know if you haven't been watching my Elden Ring puppy streams, you probably don't know my long form thoughts of Kenobi. But I honestly think the writers are trolling. I think there's a guy on staff who's just like, I'm going to make this so bad that some of these fuckers are still going to defend it, and it's going to be fucking hilarious for me. And right now, that guy's high-fiving his buds.
I would have all the respect in the world if he did that.
Like, he's just like, can you believe these people? I made the 10-year-old who we cast a 6-year-old to play, or at least it looks that way, is out running full-grown people.
She's 10 years old now.
They'll defend that shit because it's Leia. Of course, she's strong in the Force.
Yeah,
you do hear a lot of that.
Yeah,
I'm glad I never watched it.
Yeah, it's good. You shouldn't. It's bad.
Although I do recommend everyone watch the trench coat scene. That's like one of the
funniest
scenes
I've ever seen. Oh my god, I've seen it. It's like
it's amazing.
When I saw the Austin Powers one where it shows like him walking with Mini-Me's legs, I was that's so good.
No, but like that's what I mean. Like, there's a guy that said, "Hey, let's just have him put her under a trench coat and walk right out of there." And then someone's like, "Okay," and then he's like, "You fucking believe these people? They're gonna film that scene."
Just when the audience thinks it's got as bad as possible, she'll just lift the coat up and show everyone where she is.
Oh my god!
Like,
I didn't
I'm
see
hiding
her
under here.
There. What?
Yeah,
and even like Ilaria Sand is just like, "Where's Leia?" It's like, "Fuck off! You see her."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the best part.
Like, the actress probably delivering this line, like, "Are you shooting this real tight and high?" Because, like, I mean, I can obviously see her.
If the camera can't see her, nobody else in the room can.
This is clearly like Hollywood just saying that we're dumb. Like, oh, you don't know Leia's under the coat? We're going to show you Leia.
Yep.
No, but like to tie that in, now compare that to, hey, big force trying to squeeze through a narrow choke point with a few people who are very skilled in their weapons trying to defend a narrow space.
Yep.
Makes sense. And
these are both things that people wrote to put into science fiction movies and thought were totally fine. One of them was correct.
Still did bad too. Like the crew, they didn't do well. Yeah. You know, they had to fall back.
Injured. Yeah.
Kaylee got some nerve toxin and they're like, okay, fall back. They got through the door. They fall back. The door doesn't close. And sorry, this was my other big moment here. So Kaylee's, not doing well. Zoe's not doing well. She got slashed in the back. Jane is on his like last couple mags, one grenade left. They throw the grenade. Simon's like, my bag. He gets up and he ends up getting shot in his stomach. And then that's like my next like powerful moment. River. River goes and tells him, he's like, you've always taken care of me. My turn. Holy crap. Yeah. That was my next, like, yes, you go, girl. We know she's the Terminator.
Well, but also they play it in a way that maybe her skill and her agility and stuff is just going to be enough for her to dive through there, move a couple of them away, grab the med bag, throw it in, and then close the door for him. Because she then gets kind of pulled off like a shot from an Evil Dead movie. And so it's sort of, we sort of know that it's like, okay, that's not the end of her, but it's signaled to be like, that could be River dead. Like, you don't know. We killed Wash just now.
Yeah. I mean, because they've already killed two of the main characters, her dying isn't a stretch at this point.
Yeah. And she still saved their lives too. Like she did well. She did a very good thing in that scene. So if that was her death, it would be maybe a little underwhelming, and they wouldn't pay off her like weapon status. But I think they sold it enough that it's like, I mean, that could be how River goes out. And then that kind of makes it so satisfying when the next scene that it takes place in this location happens.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to jump to the Operative and Malcolm fighting scene. So Malcolm goes down the elevator. He goes down and sees that Mr. Universe is dead by his robot wife. And the robot wife tells him a message recording from Mr. Universe that there was an extra computer by the generator that he's quite sure they didn't find. And so he goes to it. And guess what? The Operative finds out too.
It's difficult to get to.
It's very difficult to get to. So when he goes down, and I'm looking at this thing, and like, it's so true. Monkey bars are so much harder when you're an adult.
Yeah. And I can only think that computer is meant for the robot, because there is no way Mr. Universe is monkey barring across there. So
I think he though would be able to use the computer to call up that walkway. Whereas he's just like, you're not going to be able to get the walkway up. So it's hard, and neither will they, because if the Alliance can't get to it, Mal's not going to be able to. And if he tells them, then they know the way they're across. But so I think he sees that and he's like, Mal probably can get there. And when he's over there, he can just hit the call walkway button and get back.
Yeah, why was there no walkway button on the way there, but on the way back?
To protect it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was like only Mr. Universe knew how to call the walkway up from anywhere but on there.
Yeah. It was a good call. Like, I mean,
great call.
Yeah.
I mean, plot hole there. If there was a button on the way there, they would have found it. That's true.
Yep.
That is very true. So,
can you imagine if he just, after all that big fight, just got to the end, he's like, oh, was there all along?
I love that too. It's not even like a cliff. It's like an electric reactor. Like it's like no, like falling here would not go well at all.
No,
you pretty much can't survive.
Into pieces. There'd be electricity burning you. It would just not be good. So that whole fight scene, and I'll let you guys take it because it sounds like it was your like favorite scene. When he tries to get up first to do the monkey bars, he gets shot in the back.
Yeah. And then falls and like catches himself on just an outcropping, and it made my shoulders hurt. I was just like, oh god.
Yeah.
It'll be brutal pain.
Well, dude, once again, we already know how completely outclassed Mal is in this fight against this guy. But it doesn't matter at this point because he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna stop. Like I can't at this point. But I don't know. I don't like this fight scene as much as the other one, only because it feels redundant a little bit. But at this point, the fight isn't about the fight anymore. It's about these two, and one of their ideologies has to win, and one of them has to lose.
Yes.
And you know that's going to happen. And I love, once again, even all the callbacks and payoffs, like because we know, and we're kind of expecting that the Operative at some point in time during this fight is going to try to nerve hit Mal. You know, and if you've forgotten, then it's immediate callback. Like for people that maybe didn't remember that, then when it does happen, you're like, oh, I forgot he could do that. You know. So what were we going to say, Disparu? Oh, I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say something. But yeah, so I love that they're going back and forth and everything like that. But then the Operative's like, yeah, I think I'm done. And he's like, wait, what? And he's like, nerve strike. And he's like, oh no. And I'm like, well, shit, how are they gonna get out of this? You know?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the payoff of like Mal being like he throat punches him. He's like, yeah, shrapnel, cluster of shrapnel. Like,
yeah. They even before he says that, they do hint at it because when he gets hit in his back, there's a scene where you see his hand twitch.
Yes. Yep.
And then you're
oh, wow.
my head
I didn't
goes,
catch that.
oh.
Yes, his hand twitches.
That's probably because you watched it twice in 1 week. Your memory was sharp enough to just grab it. Yeah.
I was trying to catch
that's
like
an
the
interesting
two
argument
things, so-
for multiple watches. I like
yes. So you see his hand twitch, so you're like, oh, so he can move? What is about to happen here? And then as we know, as he's about to put the sword, the operative is about to put the sword in Mal, that's when he throat punches him with his elbow. And then I don't know what that next move with his arms was when he like his
probably
arms are-
dislocated both his shoulders.
Yeah. That, like he had no, that's why he couldn't even try to get up. He was just like he would have tried to get up with his legs, but it would have looked ridiculous. And
that sounds horrible. Wow. Okay. Well, arms dislocated, and then he gets stuck to the railing with the sword through his like back, and he's like, "I'm not killing you. I'm gonna give you your wish."
Yep. I want to show you
a better world.
Better world. But I love that like how beat to shit both of them are, but specifically Mal has like a bloody red eye.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's got a subconjunctival hematoma.
Like,
the blood in where the white of your eye is.
This fight, it kind of reflects the desperation on both of their beliefs versus the first fight. This is completely like they know this is the end, so they got to give it their all, even though they're tired. You know, they just flew past a flying war in space down to the bottom, and now they're like literally fighting as many people as they can to get to whatever points they're trying to get to. And clearly we have a winner.
We have a man like in the operative who has been trained like to believe, like trained and forged to believe and build this world for the Alliance. And then we have Mal, who all of his beliefs and everything have been forged in him by like going through hell. And up till now, he's been running away from this war. He's just like, there's just we can't fight the Alliance. There's nothing we can do. Now he has something he can do, and now he can, for the first time in his life, actually have. He's actually the crux of power. It's not somebody above him making a decision for him or anything. It is all on him to make a decision, to make a choice. And he's like, I can't let anything stop me. And I also love the line, somebody shared it in the comments too. Yeah. He's like, do you know what your sin is, Mal? And he's like, oh hell, I'm a fan of all seven. Right now I'm gonna have to go with Wrath.
Right now I'm going with Wrath. Oh my god, that was amazing. Oh gosh. And I just this whole like the closure of this movie at this point to get to here was so worth it, because I mean the fight obviously wasn't that, like, I thought the whole the crew fighting was more interesting than Mal versus the operative in that fight, but just the payoff to see the operative watching that video when that transmission is being sent out, and then like his world shatters, absolutely shatters, because it the whole non-aggressive world will never happen. It happened, everyone died. Is it worth it? No, his beliefs are gone.
The thing is with this, I think if this had been planned as a TV series, they could very easily just do another one in a world where essentially a load of people have got this strange like unsourced news transmission, and then you see the Alliance's media empire come out and just start
that could be a pretty interesting follow-up.
So
actually that would be almost topical.
Exactly. But you could very easily make a series where actually he doesn't achieve much, and they've got to try and go around and continue to fix it.
Well, I mean, fundamentally, the whole show, I guess, and this movie in particular, the core conflict between the two factions is, and I'm talking not capital A and L like political parties, but the concepts of authoritarianism versus libertarianism. You had the independent planets that were fighting in the war against the Alliance, who were trying to join everybody together and control everything. And this is all the conflict with the Reavers and everything was kicked off by an attempt to make an ultra-authoritarian planet where everyone's behavior is controlled by the government's pumping drugs into the atmosphere to like keep them under total control, chemical control, and Mal's whole ideology is the opposite of that. And I think that having a character like the Operative who believed wholeheartedly in that authoritarianism, just seeing, all he had to do was see what the end state of it caused, to be like, yeah, that's not my thing anymore.
Absolutely not.
You don't need to kill me, and I'm actually going to save your lives in a minute or two. But we're cool, Mal. It's I was wrong.
Yep.
But that's what I love too, is like the systems of belief. But like the Operative isn't just like sitting there going, "Oh, whoopsie," he's like crying because he's having his entire belief system ripped out from among them, because he's being shown these people are not building a better world. They're just as big monsters. You've been fighting for monsters. Like, there is no better world. This is the world you live in. Mm-hmm. And like, to watch him have to, like, his whole belief system just completely implodes on itself. And not only that, but his belief wasn't enough to beat this brown coat soldier, this like scrappy brown coat pirate, like in a fight. Like, because that guy believed more in the world that he was fighting for. And like, I just love that interaction. And I love the scene where he's just like laying there on the ground, like watching this transmission and crying because of like the realization that he was like, everything he believed was a lie. Yeah.
Yep.
And also, he's already said that he's a monster, so he knows that he would probably be willing to have done that to that planet. If he thought it was required, then he'd do it. But the people above him had to be better than he was. And then he's just realized they are just like him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yep.
I think this is interesting. Thomas Wright says the Operative has to face the same grief Mal faced at the end of the Alliance War.
Yep.
Interesting. Very interesting.
100%. And like I said, it's the first time Mal finally has the power to actually change something for whatever it means. It's something, and it's in his hands to do, instead of it being a call from up top says we're surrendering and it's over.
Yep.
Well, because he would have fought to the last man. Yep.
And the weapon was information. It was knowledge, and it was the truth too. So it's like the truth will lead to decreased authoritarianism, because people won't listen to people who they know are lying to them, and it makes it so that there's a solid link between the goals of the characters and the themes of the actual story. And I thought it was all very well done in that respect.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. And now on to Disparu's favorite scene. So Mal comes up the elevator and he sees everyone kind of behind the door and is like, all right, report. And I mean, so we go through the report and all of a sudden the door is open. There's River. And I think this is one of the most well-lit scenes. She's standing there, dead Reavers all around. She's got an axe in one hand. I forgot what else is in her other hand. But it's like dripping blood. And you can see it's just like coming down the axe. One of the most probably pretty, like, well-filmed scenes. And she just looks so bad ASS.
The first thing you see, though, is you see the Reaver face, and then you just see her fist coming out like in slow motion, and it goes into the action scene. That's before that. The shot, the hero shot of her with the axe and stuff, is how the rest of the crew finds out that she's alive. Because the doors open, they're like, oh.
They thought she was maybe dead? Maybe?
It's like, okay, so we could have just sent River to begin with, I guess.
Yeah. I wish like that was the poster scene. Like Shark Dentures put total poster image. That would have been such a good poster to have.
Yeah.
I would argue DVD box art, because it would have been kind of a spoiler to have that as like the before you go see the movie poster. But you're right, it would make a very good one.
That's so dope.
Yep. And even afterwards, when they see her, the wall breaks, and she's just still standing there. And
like,
a lot of people come in,
and you're just like, is she gonna kill all of them too?
That was my first thought.
Like, holy fuck. But that's the thing. It's like, as much as part of me was just like, oh, are we gonna see her fighting people with guns, and is it gonna be even better? But then they kind of come from the other direction with it and do something that I think is actually like it serves the story a lot better. Would just have the Operative call and be like, yeah, no, They're cool.
Stand down.
Stand down.
down.
Yeah.
I do kind of wish we'd got a River v Operative fight scene, because you get the kind of impression that he's had something done to him as well to make him a bit more than human. So, like, they would have had a better fight than sort of Malcolm and him.
Well, that's what I thought about early.
He's so outmatched.
I had written in my notes that I thought early was like River. Like, he was a bit twisted in his head, the way he thought, some of the things that he said was weird, kind of like how River says things, but just a little more evil. But of course, we never found out exactly.
Yeah.
He's just weird.
I do love that Mal drew the screwdriver. They're squaring off. Operative's got the sword, and then Mal's just like, and he pulls out a screwdriver. And what kills me is that's like that. It's that Marvel kind of humor, but done in a way that really makes sense for both the scene and the character. Because if he has a sword, you're going to want a weapon of some kind, and a screwdriver is better than being empty-handed. And that was all that was there. But he's not going to just give up. So he's like, all right, we're doing this. I guess I'm going to try to maybe take 1 or 2 sword slashes and get close enough to stab you with a screwdriver.
But I think
this is where we're at right now.
Very true to his character, because that's what he's been doing this entire time. Even before the war, like, he just had to think on his feet. There was a scene with him and his colleague, I forgot his name, the friend that died, and Zoe, and them trying to escape. They're like, well, they didn't give this order, but we're gonna do this anyway because we want to live. So very true to his character. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we continue on in terms of like the fighting scenes?
They're awesome.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
I've always liked
very well choreographed, very well shot.
I always like where one character's against a huge number of people.
Yes.
And they're just dodging all of the hits by some weird movement. Like, a load of people take the piss out of it in Matrix 2. I still like the fight scene with Neo versus all the people. Just
there's
everything.
one move that she does that is like this, like, arch back and like a circular swipe with like her weapons. I'm like, that is something that we do in dance. And now it's being put into like karate.
Combat, melee combat,
but it's
martial
like,
arts, you could say.
It's very pretty martial arts now. So
well,
like
they made
those two together.
They designed her a fighting, the choreographer, the fight choreographer, which is like in movie fights, effectively the exact same thing as a dance. Like no functional difference between the two, unless it's like guys that are okay having like an actual fight and just knowing like, okay, we're gonna box in this scene, I'm gonna win, but make it look good, and then they just go. Like, that does happen, but it's much less common than very specifically choreographed movements that have to be executed with timing the same way a dance is. And I mean, you could compare, say, the lightsaber fights in the prequels to anything happening in modern Star Wars. The ones are executed very well by people who have really nailed the choreography and practiced a lot, versus people that were taught a day before they shot the scene.
Yep. And well, like I said earlier too, Summer Glau's a dancer, and it's very apparent that they played to those strengths, because there is that like floaty feeling of like, and it lends credibility to the belief that like, instead of the idea is she has to be as strong as a Reaver and she can punch one in the face and he flies across the room, or she's picking them up and breaking their backs over her knee. It's like, no, she's just flowing like water.
She's graceful.
And she's smaller than them, so she's going to be harder to get a hand on. She's faster than them. It's like playing to the strengths of what the character is just built for, instead of trying to make her as strong as a brute and like fighting like a, and screaming and yelling and snarling. It's like, no. Yep.
Well,
her abilities are also. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I was going to say her. I was going to say mine's quick. I was just going to say her abilities are also ambiguous enough that, as kind of Disparu was saying with the Operative, it's possible that they did something to make her marginally at least stronger than she otherwise would be.
So I was watching the Divergent movies. The first one, and of course Triss is very small, tiny, hadn't had a lot of training, and there's the one scene where the guy's like, in this fight you're small but you're faster, so use that to your advantage. And I think that's kind of the same with River without being said, and I thought that was kind of cool to see the two movies and be like, they're not the strongest, but if you're resourceful enough you can be a better fighter. Anyway, sorry, Disparu.
And I got the idea with River that it's not like precognitive as in she can see the future, but she'd be able to predict movements and read body movements and stuff, that she would essentially know where they were going to move before they kind of did it, so she was already moving out of the way, which is why she flowed so well through all of the people, rather than just being the big bodybuilder that just takes all the hits.
That's smart too, actually, to see that she probably read a lot of the other characters during the fight.
Yeah, because there's a lot of that with all the characters. Like Inara's got it where she can read various different people's behavior and stuff. So if River, I think with River, it was that she was super smart already, and they made her even more smart. And there's a thing in, what was it, the Sherlock Holmes movie, where he does the same thing. Like he predicts the fight,
analyzes. Yeah,
that's a cool scene.
That first scene was so cool.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh, he's solving the fight, like it's a mystery.
Oh yeah. Those are one of the coolest things ever. I'm like, whoa? Yeah.
And one of my favorite things is where he just goes, discombobulate.
All right. So we go into the final scenes. We see them burying Mr. Universe, Shepherd Book, and Wash. I'm not gonna lie, I had a couple tears. And I don't think there was any dialogue in that scene, but it was just so pretty, and seeing the graves there and seeing everyone in black, but then Zoe in white coming in and looking sorrowful and sad, and seeing Wash all happy, and it was just a very powerful moment. I don't know, for me.
Yeah.
And I even thought like they shot it in like desert background, and then I thought it was like reflective of how she probably felt in that moment, losing her husband. So there's a bit of what is the word for that? I'm trying to think of the English language.
Poetic.
Four people in the chat have brought up Zoe's dress.
Fire. Oh yeah, no, I mean,
wow.
She's married to Morpheus.
Okay. She was absolutely wearing that dress. You guys are right. Yeah.
She looked good in that dress.
She's married to Lawrence Fishburne, Morpheus.
Smart.
And I mean, she's beautiful, and I think that, you know, it kind of brings into perspective, especially the last time we saw her in the series, like she was asking about having a baby with him. And I think that, imagine she was pregnant throughout all this. I mean, we never know. She could have been. Season 2 never happened.
Movie 2.
Or movie 2, doesn't matter. But she, you know, I think it was just the what ifs in that moment with her now late husband. There's so many there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And like I said, there's no dialogue. It was just visions, and it was so well done.
Can I please? Oh, babies.
Go ahead.
Can I please point out that Mr. Universe has had a longer and more respectful funeral scene than Han Solo or Luke Skywalker.
Oh wow.
Not wrong.
I mean, granted, it was a shared funeral, but hey, I know what Mr. Universe's gravestone looks like. That's all I'm saying. Babies, I know it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
they're upset.
It's out of control. Yeah, they should be. Yeah.
Yeah, F's in the chat for Wash and Mr. Universe in book. I mean, they're all great characters. I mean, I don't know much about Mr. Universe, but I would have loved to know more about Shepherd Book.
Yeah.
He's completely mysterious still.
And of course, the greatest problem with the movie is that Saffron's not in it.
Wow, you just wanted the assets, right?
Yeah.
I actually think Saffron's a great character. She's like, because Saffron shows what Inara could be if she actually used her talents for herself. Yeah.
Where would you see her if she was in this movie then, Disparu? I want to see your creative abilities. Where would you
probably
see
would have
her?
switched sides. Like if like say she'd gone to the planet, she would have quite happily gone to the Alliance, and she probably would have got them all in trouble. Because there's no way she would have committed. She's a survivor. There's absolutely no way she's going to that planet with the rest of them by her own free will.
Because the only, as of right now, if Saffron was in the movie, I would see her
10 out of 10.
Training at the training grounds, wherever that was. other than that, I don't know where she could be inserted into the movie.
Well, she has a habit of inserting herself everywhere. But,
He said it, not me. I just implied it with my smile.
see, non-verbal communication. It works.
She has really nice boobs.
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate that.
I just wanted to say it because I know that's what we were all thinking.
Oh, honey, you should do Mad Men next.
It's more than that. She knows
for no
how
reason.
to turn on like the charm immediately, like a flick on a switch.
It's so funny.
I actually think she would be very dangerous in real life because I think she can do that in real life as well.
Disparu's like, if she came to me, I would have fallen for all of it.
I would have been in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Like even the second time when she's met Malcolm again, I'm like, yeah, I would have been in trouble and fallen for that as well.
If you were Mal in that moment, they were in the bedroom. You would have been that like, alrighty,
Disparu, Mike, you don't get it. She's changed now, man. It's cool.
She's different. I think I can change her.
Like, because you get so many actors that just play themselves in every role, and she could play two different people in the same episode, and she could flick between them and whenever she wanted.
I honestly did not recognize that she was Christina Hendricks until she started turning on that charm.
Oh yeah,
and I was like,
she nailed it.
I know her.
Well, and when she met Inara, and those two are like both manipulating each other, but they also both know each other's talents and what each other's doing. I thought that was great.
And what also happened for the benefit of the viewer to be like an extremely like escalating sort of sexual tension scene between those two. Like you're just like, everything about this scene is great.
Yes.
If only it turned into
that's what
that's not sound.
It's almost kind of better that it didn't, because you're like, I mean, it's network TV. It's not going to go that far. So it having like story relevance is like, oh, that's even better. Like, this is actually, it's the best of all worlds.
Yeah, I need a season 2 now. Damn.
Yep. Wow.
Mike's gotta go spend time in his bunk.
Yeah, I'll be in my bunk.
Just here, let's do Mad Men as the next show.
Maybe.
Excuse for 5 seasons of Christina Hendricks.
I'll have her as my icon instead of my logo. Let's bring this back to the movie. They're now rebuilding the ship back to its former glory, taking the red paint off, taking the cannon off, repainting the Serenity logo, and now Mal is talking to the Operative, and essentially it looks like now even Operative is saying the Alliance doesn't have their trust in me anymore. They know I'm not their man. I can't guarantee they're not going to come after you. So just know that watch out, watch your backs. I've told them that TAMs aren't a threat. And I think that was it was interesting to see them even after their fight and after they know where each of them stand. Mal's like, I'll still kill you if I see you again.
Yeah. Well, I love that he's like, you won't. Like,
you won't.
This is it for me.
There's not much left.
That was a wink at the audience.
Yeah. That's
like that was this is the end, everybody.
Yeah.
Just,
I think that also implies
like
he's either gonna go and do something drastic or he's just gonna go kill himself.
Yeah.
And my money is probably on he's just gonna go somewhere and kill himself.
I think if he doesn't have, and like kind of how Shepard said, like if there's no beliefs, there's nothing left to live for. So he doesn't have his beliefs anymore. And I kind of see that. Yeah. So I mean, it's unfortunate. He was a great character, kind of like how I felt about Early. And I actually did think, because we never saw Early actually die, Jubal Early. So I thought he was actually going to come back.
Well, he's not. He definitely not dead, because they said that in the, what's it called? I think it was Joss Whedon confirmed that he wasn't dead. Like he was supposed to come back in the show at some point, but he didn't.
Oh. Thomas Wright says in deleted scenes and Joss's commentary, it's meant that he has nothing left to live for. There we go. So, I mean, a man like him, I would expect him to want to kill himself. He has nothing to live for, might as well die. And
it's a manner of honor. Yeah.
At the same time, though, I like the idea that it's kind of open door. It's like, well, but if there ever was a Serenity 2 or another season of Firefly, he could come back. Jojo.
Yeah, and I mean,
Sorry, got a puppy situation.
it could just be another guy that's similar to him, and maybe a little similar but different. And who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
And
I
there's
hope
no
they
reason
don't.
he couldn't switch. Like, if they did do something where it turns out the message was being contradicted by the Alliance or anything, you could see him turning against the Alliance, because if he only wants to create a better world, then he could end up switching to someone who could convince him that they were the ones to do it instead.
Yeah, like he very easily could be an ally. Like,
Could he be the next shepherd? I would love that.
I mean, I'd
That
be
would've
okay
been
with
me.
it because
True
would be
Intelligence
okay.
4 is way too expensive.
I would be okay if he became the next shepherd. That would be amazing. And then he could talk about what happened with the previous shepherd because he died.
yeah, well,
We'll never know. We'll never know. And then we kind of go to this scene where we see Simon and Kaylee finally. Oh my God, they finally got it in.
oh yeah, I was not clapping. I was.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
happened.
we've been waiting for this payoff for like the longest time. So I'm happy to see that they, got it in, and she lived for a good reason, and I think it was funny seeing River come up above them getting it in, and she's just like, huh, what's happening?
Yeah, we're like, oh great.
It was like
wow.
weird, but it's something that River would do.
Yes, very much so.
And Inara and Mal, he's like, we're about a day's flight away from the training area. Are you ready to get back to civilized life? And Inara goes, I don't know. And he says, good answer. It is the tease of all teases. Like, why? The tease continues without a finish.
Yeah. Wow.
This is real life flirting, okay, guys?
X-Ray Girl needs the finish.
I need the finish.
She wasn't okay. It wasn't enough with Simon and Kaylee. She
But,
needs
like,
Mal.
yeah.
Everyone's got a bang.
I mean, not even bang. It's just like either just end it or start it. And I think that this is very like 90s, early 2000s, hints at relationship. They basically turn it into a middle school flirt, like they're completely like as if they're middle school. They're like arguing with each other, making fun of each other. That's definitely what I did when I was in middle school. It's like very juvenile. They're flirting.
Yeah, you never do that now.
No. Excuse me.
Okay.
Fine, Mark,
he
your
sensed
beard looks
danger.
weird.
You will make fun of me on Friday Night Tights with like 12,000 people watching. Like, come on.
Those are called jokes.
Oh, okay.
I make fun of myself more.
Yes.
Exactly.
I didn't say you didn't. I said you do still flirt by making fun of me a lot.
Okay, fine. There we
There
go.
you go.
I have juvenile flirtation with my husband.
Yeah.
Kill me now.
How often do you say that you're going to kill the puppies? Because I love them. Pretty often is the answer.
I mean,
She does it all the time.
It's a really good joke. I mean,
She's like,
it's
just so
always
you know, I'm going to murder them tonight.
yeah.
Okay, here, I put JoJo in the
I go with
She'll
that.
just
I
be
go
like,
with
hey, I
that.
put JoJo in the dishwasher. Did you want her on the top shelf or bottom? Yeah, JoJo doesn't like that. You fight back, baby. Good puppy.
To
Sorry,
be
Robin.
fair, it only is because Mark has such an extroverted reaction when he does it, which makes it funny for
Hey.
me. So that's why I do it all the time.
I don't like even thinking about them being hypothetically jokingly dead.
Well,
Yeah, but
it is
then
JoJo.
Mark goes, no!
Hey, come on. What? Like, to be fair, I sound a lot more manly than that.
No!
Right?
Okay. Was that better?
I don't know. I think it's
Only if it
more of
sounds
like
like
a
a ghost.
no. It's like a metal singer or something.
No.
There you go. Yeah, that's closer.
All right.
It does
Well,
like the Vader no.
Yeah. Except I do it better than James Earl Jones. Literally, like actually better. That was the worst delivery in all of the prequels.
We'll round out the episode, and I kind of like the way they ended this. So Malcolm and River are flying the ship out after it's been kind of fixed, and River knows what she's doing because obviously she knows everything. And Malcolm's like, the first rule about flying, and she's like, he's like, oh, of course you would, and she's like, oh, I still want to hear you say it. It's love. Love keeps the shuttle in the air. It makes your home. All these nice words, and I kind of like how they're flying through a storm, because I feel like this whole season movie is them flying through the storm to get to the calm at the end. So it's kind of symbolic. Yeah. And so then when they finally make it, it's beautiful. And then lovely ending. A part falls off of the ship, and he goes, what was that?
Yeah, that's the perfect ending.
It's a perfect ending. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just every little, there's so much symbolic messages and all this kind of built into the script. And maybe I'm reading into it. I don't know if it was.
No, you're not reading into it. That's absolutely it. Yeah.
Like it's a good story. And I look back at all my English lessons when I was in school about storytelling, and I think they really portray this so well. And I kind of want to go back to my notes to review all of this so I can like say what I've learned from English in this movie. But will I? Probably not. But I think they ended it really well. Shark Denter says it's a classic Whedon ending. Yeah. What were your thoughts on like the final message here?
The little joke, or what you
Everything.
Need in the air is love. I thought that Whedon does have a habit of undercutting serious moments with comedy, but I think that it works better for Firefly / Serenity than it does in a lot of other situations, because as you were kind of saying towards the beginning of the stream, there always is that element of like, we're always almost going to crash. Like, it seems like we are a, happy family here, and we're just adventuring in space, but it's like, no, you don't get it. We're on the raggedy edge at all times here. And like our ship's barely holding together, but with proper upkeep and, and resources, we can keep it running forever. I think they even say that it's not them. It's like another character, an Alliance guy, I think, says it on the show. He's like, yeah, it's like those things, they can last forever if you take care of them properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's with everything.
I like that, because one thing I despise in shows is where everything just gets overly emotional. There's the people crying all the time and stuff. So I like that even though there was deaths in this, it was just like, we have to carry on through it. Like, we've got stuff to do. And even at the end, it's like, well, okay, now we've got to get the next problem over and done with, and we've got to get out of here. There was no point where nobody just broke down and started wallowing in their own pit of self-pity or anything. Everyone kept it together. And I think that's a far better message than like what you see now, where it's just like, oh, well, you should just be depressed for 5 years of your life.
Well, interestingly enough, so like when they're about to set off, there was an interaction between Zoe and Mal, and I forgot to say this, and it kind of is alluding to both the ship and Zoe. And Mal goes, think she'll hold together. And Mal and then that's Mal. And Zoe says, she's tore up plenty, but she'll fly true. And I'm thinking, wow, oh my God. It's not just it's like him checking up with her personally and the ship. So I thought that was kind of beautiful in that sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great moment. It's very, very, very beautiful, because there's so much. The whole ending is just nothing but like subtext. Because nobody's saying what they really mean, which is that this crew, like, that's exactly how this crew functions. Like, nobody actually says what they actually mean, but they all know that they like love each other, with the exception of Mal talking about, hey, like, this floats with love, like this, you fly with love, like, because he's like, but it's a beautiful ending, and it doesn't feel like Disparu was saying, like, I in today's writing, that ending doesn't have the same landing, because there has to be a message or some kind of like, some kind of idea pushed, or like, if you didn't get this was the message of the movie, and they're like subtext, and go ahead, Disparu.
And modern shows have the message of your emotions are your strength, and you should just give in to them, even if they completely overpower you and you just get upset and can't function. That's a strength. Whereas this was very much, your emotions should be in check and you can feel them, but they shouldn't overpower you, and you need to keep going. Yeah. Not just for you, but for everyone around you. Yes. And you can get strength from other people. And that used to be the message of basically all media, whereas now it's very much switched over to that's kind of bad and like almost as if it's wrong. And now everything's got to be somehow rooted in emotion.
Emotions are good to have. Like, I don't want to discount that, but like the world is still going to turn whether you have those emotions expressed or not.
Yep.
So to have you have this selfish moment, it's fine, but don't think the world is going to stop for you, because the world still has to function. And I think that this show kind of shows that. It's like, you know, she lost her husband. It's not like something easy, but she still has a job to do, and without her the crew's not going to work as well. And I think she knows that. Like, she's lost so many people in her life already. She's a soldier, she knows loss, and this is just the biggest thing she's lost up to this point that we know of. And she can still work, and I think that's, you know, that's powerful. It's strength. And you know, I think it's good to still have your emotions. It's just when to have them, how to have them, when's a good time. If you're in war, are you going to be like, sorry guys, I just need a moment here?
Yeah. Well, and even that feeling of like, I mean, it's not over for them. Like, they don't just get to sail off in the sunset and like be good. Like, there's still more work to be done. It's just that for now they won this fight, and yay.
Yeah. So and Direct, she still has her family. Yes, she does.
Yep.
Yes, she does. Alrighty, so just gonna pop through a few more super chats. We have Shark Dentures here for $5. I heard that Adam Tudyk was at a fan event and signed a picture with I'm a leaf on the wind, and the fan broke down crying. Adam felt so bad about that. I would love if he signed mine.
It's Alan Tudyk, but that's a really adorable story.
That is an adorable story.
Adam Baldwin is Jane, though.
Wow. Wow.
There is an Adam.
I want both of them to sign something. Maybe in the future. Fierce Phil for $5. My dishwasher's broken. She passed out on the floor from drinking too much. So yes, on Robot Wife. Wow.
Yeah, see, there you go, honey. What if the robot wife can do chores?
So are you calling all our appliances wives now?
I mean, if like,
well, can we? Because he can't do what
depends.
he
What can we do with
putting your PP in them?
Not yet. Unless I don't know is I mean,
yet is what I hear. Yet.
I mean, presently I'm not attracted to a single one of our appliances. That's all I'm saying.
But if you get a robot wife,
oh my god, should I put a sticker?
Well, exactly. I'm not saying it's not an
or what's that lady from that game?
To be fair,
you could be talking about like 10 different people from 10 different games easily.
A spin cycle does sound like something that a robot wife would have.
That's true. Bayonetta. Hey, turn on your spin cycle.
Oh, Mark's
that's really
like,
good,
don't give me ideas.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm at like 13 on my X-Ray Girl cosplay ideas list.
Wow.
I only needed 12, but I want to pare it down to 12 good ones.
He just walks in with a box and he's like, dishwasher.
No, it's gonna be a very well written business proposal.
Scary movie is what I think of. Vacuum cleaner, scary movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, I know too many horror stories about vacuum cleaners.
Oh my god, stop.
Late to the party was watching Gary.
Well, watching Gary. Thanks, Josh, for $4.99. Yep. It's all good. It's all good. You stream over each other. It happens. Josh for another $4.99. Mal's St. Crispin's Day speech is awesome. I aim to misbehave.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my new line for Mark. I aim to misbehave.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Another one from Josh for $4.99. Is Joe's going to Wild Brunch this movie? What does that mean?
Oh, have everybody die.
Oh, no, we won't die. No dying here. No dying here. Shake from the Hunger Team for $5.
Because we are the Aqua Teens.
Thank you. Shark Dentures for $2 says it's a battle between conformity and individuality. I think this was talking about the fight between Mal and Operative. Thank you.
Yeah, same idea, like authoritarian versus libertarian, north and south on the compass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's like a constant battle in the States.
Oh yeah, it's awful over here.
Yeah.
Whereas over here we've just given up.
Yeah, you have spoons, from what I hear. Ken Lipson for $5 says thank you for this X-ray. You are very welcome. I honestly, this was a treat for me to like watch the show in its entirety because it's been so good. It's been a relief from current day media.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for it. Yeah.
She sees how angry I get after an episode of Kenobi.
Yeah, I don't even bother. Like, okay, it's funny because I have to hear it all anyways through watching Gary's streams, and like I watch literally all his streams, every second of it, and so I know all his ideas and thoughts to it. It's more than enough for me to be like, I don't want to watch them.
I mean, like, I'll admit I am watching Kenobi at this point, which is kind of more than they got me to do for any of the recent MCU shows and stuff. And I'm watching it specifically because I'm at the point that I can't believe it's getting worse every episode, and I'm blown away by it. But it doesn't make me happier than if it was just okay. Like,
That's happened with so many things, though. Halo got worse every episode. Wheel of Time did. It's like that's like they're doing it on purpose. I don't know. It's just every week.
I haven't read Wheel of Time, so I don't want my first experience with that universe to be the show. And Halo, I saw one episode and I was out. I was like, this is it's bad but not funny.
Mike, I can
the
see
next
you.
one's got far worse than the first episode's one of the best ones. Like,
I watched a bunch of coverage of it, but like, oof, yeah. So like, I know what happens, but
a goddamn conspiracy.
Dang.
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, BS. I will watch this probably tomorrow. The live nooner.
yeah.
We'll see. I watch all his nooners. That sounds so creepy to say out loud.
Nooners. I stare at Gary's Nooners. Yeah.
Yeah, I stare and listen so
and there's
intently.
BBC.
I do love
Yeah,
puppies.
and the BBC. Wow, why do they all sound like that? Andrew Matthews
I
for
think that was
£2.
deliberate.
Says Mark loves puppies. Confirmed. Yes, he does.
Yeah, I really do.
I sometimes think
They're
he loves
wonderful.
them more than I do. And he
No.
loves me.
Well, no, it's a different kind of love, baby.
Yeah. Except if you get a robot wife, then it's the same kind of love.
That'd still be different from X-Ray Girl, but
same, but mostly same, but different.
like 40% the same.
There you
Wow. What's the 60% that's different?
You know,
then?
It's a
my
robot.
love of no, it's my guys. Come on, like let me get a little sappy and true. I'd say 60% of my love for X-Ray Girl is her personality and who she is as a
So
human
40%
being.
is
Well,
physical.
a robot
That's not
girlfriend would
bad.
have a personality.
Yeah, easily.
She's
Is
not
that
perfect
okay?
personality.
I'm sorry, but is that ratio inappropriate?
No. You can have whatever ratio you want. Listen, the thing is, 100% of a robot wife is exactly what you want.
Yeah. Because if it's not, you just change it.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what?
That's
We're
the
just
perfect
gonna
wife.
tweak these a little
Poor
bit.
Mark right now.
I don't think
to download some new software.
I don't think
Mute
my
button.
Yeah.
well, yeah. See, because you would only want to mute something if they don't have like an interesting personality. But I mean, I guess if
true.
they're
Is that
shipped,
why I only
But you
have
could mute them and
15
then fix
words
their
with you?
personality. Like, it's the
You get more
literal
than
I can
15.
fix
Come
her
on.
meme. It's like, no, you actually can.
You can
yeah,
actually fix her.
you have the
It
right to
requires
repair.
It's software.
Be sure to buy your robot wives from Valve. Speaking of which, X-Ray Girl, my Steam Deck is in the mail. So
No.
And
Normally,
you know,
normally when you want your wife to do things, it requires hardware. And so the fact that you could just download something, a new patch for your robot wife, you know?
hardware and software.
Well, there's not much software. I mean, I don't know how you download software into a human, but
No, I meant his robot wife.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he'll be the one with the hardware. Yeah.
So much you can change with a
I mean,
robot
by
wife.
definition, she would be hardware, like in
No,
all
it's
of her physical
software.
form. Yeah, the
How she
software would be the
moves and
personality.
acts?
But I could do without the software, is what I'm saying.
There was a lot of
But
there
with
was-
you-
there was innuendo.
Wow.
No.
So all
With
I'm
the,
hearing is all she has to be is a whole.
I mean, yeah,
Well-
the robot
Well, no,
wife.
there's the rest of the robot as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean,
Like,
the-
we have
the
holes
form-
now. That exists.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You can buy just the whole.
Yeah. It's the whole
I
thing.
mean, you can.
Yeah. The robot is the rest of it.
Yeah, it's the rest of it looking convincing. That's the impressive thing.
And in the
Okay.
house, yeah.
JH Schwab For 8347 says, I honestly believe that Gina Torres Zoe could end racism on the planet. There is not a man on the planet that would not want to be her love slave. The other women in the show are spectacular, but she's a god. I couldn't have her. If I couldn't have her, I'll take Epic Mike.
That's quite the range you got there, buddy.
Listen, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I'll compare to Gina Torres.
Is anyone else super interested in who number 3 is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was Gina Torres and me, and it's like, where are you gonna go with this?
Yeah. It could be anywhere.
Let me know.
Sorry,
number
Jojo.
3 is on your list.
I booped JoJo's snoot.
Hokies is giving you good advice. Stop digging, Mark.
No. It's funny when I did.
I'm just teasing.
Well, I'm saying, honey, even if you were in a disfiguring accident, I would still retain 60% of my love for you.
His love for you. Yeah.
Oh,
that's pretty good. That's
Jimmy
more than half.
So wait.
That is fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
What percentage is the whole?
What? I got to break down by body part? No, come on. Physical appearance, 40%. The specifics, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That's for me to know and no one else to ever find out.
You don't want to know that because you might find out that the percentages are way off. And
yeah, what if I'm secretly a foot guy and I've just never told you?
Yeah, you actually...
Well, you only have 1 foot, so I mean, I guess I would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't get a lot of exposure to them.
He just stares at your legs at night and he's like, oh my gosh.
I want it so bad.
No. It's only her right foot. I'm just like, okay. I'm not used to seeing those.
I'm not used to seeing her right foot. Give it to me, baby.
This robot one I have in front of me is not doing it for me either.
No.
So there's some comfort too.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Jimmy Carr jokes is where he says his girlfriend turned to him and said, would you still love me if I was a cripple? He said, are you kidding? I would have dumped you if you put on half a stone.
Okay, half a stone is a lot. I knew someone that
she just randomly turned around at one point to go, would you cry if I died? I'm like, what? Where did that come from? Just in the middle of a film or something.
Mark will cry if I die.
How much is a stone?
It's huge.
Isn't it like 12 pounds, something like that?
Want it in kilograms?
I don't know. Yeah, I can do either kilograms or pounds.
We're going
a kilogram's 2.5 pounds.
14 pounds.
Oh yeah, okay. So that's 7 pounds. That's not that much. Half a stone.
Part of the joke.
Like X-Ray Girl was like half a stone is a lot. I'm like, I don't think it's that much. Like I know it's more than a pound. Or a kilogram.
Okay, I had a fun moment with my Irish friend who does everything in stones, and I did not know stone was a unit of measurement. And
it's such an inefficient one.
I told her it depends on how heavy the stone is that you're measuring it against. Okay, there we go.
In the UK, we measure each thing in various different units. So we use stones and pounds, but only to measure people. We don't measure anything else in stones or pounds.
Oh, okay. Huh, interesting. You use kilograms for the rest?
You British people are weird.
We use everything. Yeah, so even our temperature. I think they've standardized it now, but it used to be when I was a kid. The weather report would be in Fahrenheit when it was hot and Celsius when it was cold. Just so we could be we rarely get hot weather, so now it sounds really high.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's weird.
Yeah, I really never understand American cold temperatures. The hot ones I can wrap my head around because, like it starts to get really hot in the 80s and 90s, and that sounds closer to like a percentage type thing. But,
so
cold temperatures, you guys are like, ooh, it's freezing. It's like 55. It's like, what?
Well, that's because those people don't know what they're talking about.
That's just so far away from zero.
Yeah, see, 30 is when it starts to get cold. 50 is like fine. Yeah.
Well, we'll find out when we go to Vegas. I'm so excited.
It's gonna be hot there.
God.
It's gonna be hot.
Yeah, I've never seen a place where they spray water just randomly into the street, otherwise everyone will die. I was amazed. What even is that stuff I keep seeing on the cameras?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not gonna like being outdoors there, am I?
No, it goes from cold to hot really quickly. Once you're in a building, it's freaking cold.
Yeah, that's what I'm into.
Yeah, well. Anywho, thank you, boys, for joining in on this Serenity review. This was awesome, like really good. I really appreciate all of you.
Rocky, you're one of the boys.
Listen, I was so excited when you were like, "Hey, you want to come on my stream and talk about Serenity? I'm like, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
anytime anybody's like, do you want to talk about Serenity? I will go on because it's my favorite. So.
Well, like how you said it was your top 20. I don't know where it falls in like my top movies, but it is up there now. I have a better appreciation for the movie. And I think that, you know, if it wasn't for finding out about geek and nerd culture, I don't think I would have watched it again.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So I'm happy I rewatched that movie and watched the entire TV series.
I was so excited. It's good stuff. Very good. So.
Do you guys have anything to plug? We'll start with MarcTheCyborg.
I was thinking tomorrow I might do an Elden Ring and Puppies stream. I'm getting towards the end of my Elden Ring script. It is kicking around the 20,000 word mark. And my plan is to have both the Metroid video and the Elden Ring video done before the Vegas meetup, so that hopefully if I meet people out there who are like, hey, I've never heard of you before, I make videos, and then I can be like, and a new one's live right now.
Nice. All right, Epic Mike.
Yeah, you can always check me out. I'll be on Twitch tomorrow. There's a new map dropping for Warzone.
Oh.
So yeah, we'll be doing that probably. We're gonna check that out. But yeah, _epic_Mike on Twitch, and then you can check me out on Twitter under the same handle. And I'm always around doing something. So.
Which, by the way, usually play with Lethal, Blabs, and one other person, and Disparu, right?
Yeah, those were morning streams. I'm getting away from morning streams because morning streams are decidedly much less fun than streaming when I'm awake and don't have to first waking up. Yeah, they're like, you look really tired. I'm like, it's because I just woke up. I don't know what's happening.
Wow, and that's at 10 a.m.
It's 11, but yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I hear you. No.
Listen, when you're on a stream until
Mike, don't let her shame you. That's fine.
I wasn't shaming him.
You shame me for sleeping in until 10 or 11 all the time. You're just like, I'll get up. You'll be like, oh, you're up. Yeah, you know, I've been up since 7 a.m. doing yoga and cleaning.
Falls asleep before I do, and then he wakes up after I do.
I'm almost a decade older than you. Come on. I get sleepy.
Okay, there we go. What about Disparu?
That is something that started happening to me. I got to a point where now, like my dad always used to do it as well. If you eat a big meal, I'll just fall asleep. Like that never happened until I hit like 30s, and then it's just like,
yeah, that's what happened to me too. Yeah, eat like a burger, and you're like,
yeah. I'm just gone. That's just something that happens with age.
I spent probably a decade leaving the house to go out, or apartment, or wherever I was at the time, to go out at like 10:30, 11. Now, if I'm awake and it's 11 p.m., even if it's like a Saturday, I'm just like, ooh, it's getting kind of late. I better think about turning it in. If I'm editing, I'll be like, that's the end of this. So I'm playing like a first-person shooter down here. I'll be like, hey, we should go upstairs, watch some anime, play something with a controller, snuggle some puppies. You know, start getting into bedtime mode.
Yep.
Yeah. I can remember the time where you used to go out every night, and now I'll be like, that's my idea of hell. But yeah, next for me on the channel, probably the Kenobi review on Wednesday, the big finale.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I want it to be the most disastrous episode of all time. Just so.
What episode are they on?
Go out on a bang. If
6.
You're
Last
properly.
one. Last one is 6.
6.
Yeah.
Dang.
I might have
like 3 episodes in the first week.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry you had to watch all of them.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think me and probably Disparu enjoy Kenobi the way Az kind of enjoys Batwoman. But at the same time, if there was, no and yes, like it's like, well, this is kind of funny to use a British vernacular, take the piss out of. But also, I'm sad that this could have been a thing that I absolutely loved, and it's so far away from that I can't believe I was ever stupid enough to think that was a possibility. And there's some catharsis in ripping on it and like seeing just how bad it gets every week, but. It's in no way a better scenario than if it was just kind of mediocre and forgettable, but like Kenobi as a character stayed intact. Like I would be like, I might not even want to watch that, but I wouldn't be angry at it. This I'm like angry at to the point that I find it funny.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I had,
It's hilarious how much I'm angered by it. if
I
that
want
makes
something to be
sense.
real trash. Like, this is why I think Halo's worse, because it was just boring. Like, nothing happened in it. Whereas this is just actual trash, which I find funny. So, the worst bit is, like, go when you have to film it and go through in detail. But actually watching the show, if I just did it once, it's like, there's laugh out loud moments. Like, when she comes out in the trench coat, that's like gold
Yeah,
to
like,
me.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's just on a level that it's like, anytime I'm talking to friends who, like, I respect in a lot of different areas of life, they'll just be like, yeah, Kenobi's been great. I was like, are you guys, you don't believe that. Come on.
yeah, she slapped a man with it. She knocked out a stormtrooper with a slap.
Yeah, open hand slap to a helmet.
It's head protection.
He was like,
I don't know.
God, he
No,
fell
wait.
over, yeah. And
It was the
Kenobi can't
Force,
kill him with a
guys.
lightsaber.
And then she tickled the other one under the chin.
It was, and
no,
it snapped
I have
his
no idea
neck.
what to do.
Yeah. And then you hear
Yeah.
the neck snap when she tickles his chin or something like that.
Like,
Oh,
Kenobi
yeah,
can't
in
kill
the
him
last
with a
episode,
lightsaber.
she grabs a guy by the head and just like
And just pushes him a
down,
little, and
his
you
neck
just hear
snaps.
it's
Does
like
it with one
whoa.
hand.
Yep.
Like, this lady is the most powerful master of Terras Kasi ever. And I'm willing to bet that not a single member of the Obi-Wan Kenobi writing staff knows what that is.
You know, the detriment to this is people are going to think if I slap someone, I'm going to kill them.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've seen videos. I genuinely think that all of this like women empowerment, women can beat up men stuff, is having real world effects, because I've seen videos where these two women were just walking at a guy and they were so confident, and he just like knocks them to the floor in one punch, and then they stand up and they go back, and I'm like, there's no way you think you can beat up this bloke. In the end, the bloke runs away because like these two are like Terminators. And I'm literally gonna have to like kill one of them to stop them or something. It's the most
they're gonna
insane
have
thing in
to
the world.
kill them and
they're just
go to
getting
jail.
annihilated. I was like, what do you think that you're
not
doing?
Okay. Can we just go back to women are a little okay? It's okay to think women are a little weaker physically.
this-
That is science.
I think it's a TikTok video. It could be a YouTube video. But basically, this woman comes out to her husband as he comes home, and she's like, I want you to beat me up. He's like, what? She's like, I've been to a self-defense class. I'm going to show you some
yeah, I've
moves.
seen that
And
one,
he just
yeah.
annihilates her onto the floor. And he's like, I want a refund.
Yeah. He straight out, she like comes at him and he like sidesteps her and just drops her with one leg. Yeah.
Wait, was
I like
he a
hard
fighter
to the
though?
floor.
Or like
Yes.
was oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's different-ish.
Not really.
But
My wife
yeah,
knows
she should get a
karate, but
refund.
I am almost 3 times the size of my wife. Like I could throw her across the room very easily. It's not even a contest. Like I wouldn't want to fight Bruce Lee. But here's the thing, if I get my hands on Bruce Lee, I could hurt him. Like, I mean, he's 180 pounds, you know?
Yep.
Or 160 pounds, yeah.
It's the age old if someone who's bigger is stronger, but if the smaller person can be faster.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And
Yeah.
it's called science and physics, okay?
Yeah. Unless the
Wow.
smaller person can't do any damage to the bigger person.
Yeah, Mark, what is this?
I'm not really sure that works. It depends how fast you're talking. Like the Flash, yeah, fair enough, that works. But if you just like, you're not dodging most attacks a lot of the time.
I need to see this. Women versus man strength.
It's totally different. Yeah, you'd be
It's not even
surprised.
comparable.
Well, you
What
know what?
is
You want to know a good example? I don't know if you guys
Well-
know about like American football, much about it, but like a woman, let's say you have 2 people, a woman and a man, and they're the same exact like size, like as far as like weight is compared. Like a woman, there's not a single one on the planet, I think, that could take an NFL lineman in a fight, like at all. Like look at Uche. Like Uche
I
is
wouldn't
a
want to take
massive
him.
human being,
Heck
but
no.
like even a really big, strong, muscular woman isn't stronger than Uche on a bad day.
Yep.
Yeah, and Crowder did a thing, I just looked it up, CrossFit girl arm wrestles scrawny man, where they got Not Gay Jared, the tiniest man they could find, to wrestle
So the
someone that works
CrossFit
out all
woman-
the time, and she couldn't even move him. Like, it's not even like, this is the thing. People greatly underestimate it, and I'm sure a lot of it's down to movies and stuff. The only reason it's not known is because men are generally nice and don't go around.
They're
Doing
agreeable, yeah.
anything.
So Mark,
Because we
you
were
let me
trained
win
not
all the
to.
time?
I think men are born as well, or they go through their life knowing.
Mark, I think you're muted.
Mark, you're muted.
Men go through their life knowing
Oh,
that
honey,
if you
I'm
say the
sharing
wrong
my
word,
screen.
They go through life knowing if you say the wrong word to the wrong guy, you're going to get dropped. And so they get good at judging who they could take and who they can't.
Yeah. There's no sound.
Oh, there's no sound? Oh, crap.
No.
Okay, never mind. Hold on, because, yeah, you kind of need the sound for this. But I'm sure a lot of people have seen this video. It's kind of a classic, what happens when a woman slaps a man video.
Wow.
And
You saw that on stream. I slapped Ryan, and JS Penny for one it says apologies, fart. No apologies needed. I didn't smell it. And JS Penny for $4.99. Disparu, hear me out. I know negative reviews get you more views, but now that you have a following, perhaps positive reviews, maybe you can do positive reviews. Well, what is your next possible positive review?
Well, the thing is, I don't really know what I'd say that about. Look, what are you going to say about a positive? Well, that was good. You should probably go and see that. Whereas a bad review, if it's awful, not only am I British, so I enjoy just trashing stuff because it's funny. But I think it's more entertaining and there's more to say. Whereas I'm going to be like, what? Go watch the Orville. Okay, what am I going to say about the last episode of the Orville? Because for a start, I don't want to ruin the Orville for you, so I can tell you to go and see it. But I genuinely have no idea what to say about the last episode of the Orville. Then go and watch it because it's great, and that's generally my problem. Whereas if it was trash, 50-minute video.
Wow. Okay, I should make videos about Firefly and Serenity. Although I'm a live stream queen. I don't think I could make videos. Well,
you absolutely could, but
there isn't really much difference between the two.
I could, but I don't have the energy to want to do it.
See, I respect that. Laziness, I 100%. Somebody's like, yeah, but I could, but I'd have to get up and walk across my room to turn on the light switch. I'm like, I get it.
You know
I wouldn't
how
want
long
to do it either.
it takes me to make a short? It takes me like a half an hour to an hour for a 1 minute video.
If you look at like Az or Jeremy or anything, they basically record their videos like a live stream anyway. They just do it in one take and put it up.
Yeah, that is talent. I wish I could. But in this case, at least for shorts, it takes a little effort. A little more than usual. Okay, Mark, why do I see many things?
Hold on.
What is up with this?
Okay. Wait, making it full screen.
Point, I don't think negative reviews get you more views either, because you can make way more stuff about. You can do like lore videos and things if you actually like things like that. You can build entire channels around a good movie.
Yeah.
Mark, I still don't hear it.
No, we still don't hear it, but he slapped the shit on her. Like,
seriously, you don't hear it? I did share the system audio that time. Okay, never mind. But it's like she slaps him, and then he just slaps her back, and all the security guards for the TV show just go carrying him away, and he's just like, "How could she slap? How could she slap?" And he just like doesn't understand why she's allowed to slap him, but he can't just slap her back. That's pretty funny.
Thank you, Gunslinger. RRR, have you seen that? I want to see that. It can be positive except for a British person.
Yeah, no, we have to watch it. I died when I saw Hideo Kojima posting on Instagram about it, because I'm just like, does Hideo Kojima watch Chris Gore?
Yeah, and Southeastern Kaiju, is that a brain? I don't know what that is.
He said, sorry, brain fart.
Apologies, brain fart. Oh, I didn't read that right. Sorry. Thank you. Okay.
Do you think you just said fart?
No, I didn't read it. I didn't read it. That's it. I have no explanation. Cool. I'm getting this like wide-eyed look from Mike, and I'm just like, I'm drunk.
Slowly moving towards the camera.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Okay, no one told me this, but was there a poll between whose hair was nicer or more epic, yours or Dan Vasque's?
Yeah, and I think Dan's won.
Really?
Yeah, I'd give it to Dan too, because he can blow it in the wind.
Oh, looks your hair can blow in the wind.
Well,
yeah, but it doesn't look the same. It's like
yours
Dan's is like flows, you know.
Yours sort of stays intact in the wind. That's, there's evolutionary purposes.
Unless I'm driving on the road and it does this. It just
does it really happen?
Yeah,
I hate when my hair does that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Can you put your hair in a man bun?
Not yet. It's not quite long enough yet. I could pull it back. I could get this much.
Can't tie it off.
So
I
close.
can't tie it off yet. It's very
so close. You can do one at the top and one at the bottom.
That's true.
My hair is
a top knot.
My favorite story is when you're on about headphones, and you're like, if I just put them on, it just kind of looks horrible.
Do you have a hair with you?
I don't with me, but like if I put them on, yeah, they do this. It just sits like this.
It's just so funny.
Or if I do it like I used to be able to, if I put them on, like it'll do this, and you can't tell that. I
Can't
have
tell that you're
headphones
even
on.
wearing them. That's pretty cool.
See, that's the thing I hate about my hair is like when I put the headphones on, I have to figure out where to put my bangs. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's like I could look like you where I do this, but I
Yeah.
think it's better to have
But
a
people,
couple.
you want the bangs, you know.
I want a little bit of bang action happening. Anywho, cool.
Top boys.
Thank you, boys.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
are awesome.
Thank you for having us.
We got to do a Fortnite stream. Mark, would you like to do a
No.
Fortnite stream?
No, I'm never playing Fortnite.
Okay, there we go.
Unless if Epic says, you know what, we're going to stop with the exclusivity stuff and make it so
I
that
thought you
they're...
meant Epic.
Oh, that's-
No, not Epic Mike. He's the good Epic. If Epic Games decides to make the Epic Games store not be like sniping exclusives after the games are already developed and just makes their service good, I will support Fortnite. But until then, it's still the 12-year-old game. I don't care. I don't care who's playing it. I'm not joining.
JS Pena, I went through the super chats. I thought I got them all. By the way, I read the last two, which was for the Disparu
He
one.
just sent a super chat.
Did you send? I read this one and I read the brain fart one. So
Yeah.
let me know if I missed it. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna end the stream. Unless let me check donations. Nope. Okay, perfect. Okay, I read them. Okay, go. No, don't exit. I'm about to boom at this thing. All right. Thank you
Mike
very
looks
much.
very different with his hair brushed forward.
He's got bangs.
It's a totally different vibe, totally different feeling altogether.
He looks more chill.
Yeah.
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 What was it? Was it the Addams Family, where there's just that creature with like massive long hair? If you
Oh, yeah,
like
like King.
just
Cousin
to
It.
be the
Or Cousin
Afro
It, yeah.
version of
Yeah.
that, that'd be incredible.
It's just, yeah,
Wow.
It'd just
I'm
be
a
like
fart
a
on the wind.
walking ball of like fluff.
just fluff. Yeah.
Fro looks awesome.
Oh,
I
thank
do
you.
like a fro. I want to touch it. I want to touch it. One day. I will touch it.
It's a thing. It does happen.
Wow. He wants you to do the shepherd book hairstyle.
I'm not gonna-
Cornrows.
No. Well,
That sounds
I did that
painful.
one time.
It
I got
hurts.
called a murderer. So
Wow.
Then you do really well then.
yeah, it's true.
All right. Chat. That was a great way to end this.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, boys. Thank you, chat. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for joining in the conversation. I still have to figure out what I'm going to be doing for my next review, but I actually did think I might actually watch Indiana Jones and do a review
Oh
on
yeah,
that.
no, that would be good because there's only 3 movies, and then
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, and then I will watch Buffy afterwards because these
There you go.
TV shows are hard to watch like 4 or 5 episodes in 1 week and then review them. So
And I was
think-
saying that Buffy and Angel kind of have to be done concurrently once Angel
Yeah.
starts up because you have storylines that kind of start in one and finish in the other. And
Yep.
Yeah.
like if you watch Angel completely afterwards, you're just gonna be like, wait, hold on. What Buffy's here? Okay, Faith's here now? Like what the hell's
Yeah.
going on? And you'll be like, oh, okay. It makes a
Yeah.
lot more
The two
sense
I
when they
prefer.
say, hey, there's a thing I'm starting here. You prefer
I think
Angel?
there we
yeah, I
go.
think I prefer Angel.
Angel is
Especially when
the
they get to
better
the
one.
Nathan and Hart part of it.
Yeah,
that's
season
better.
5 of Angel is the best TV season in that universe. Like I think that Buffy is by and large a stronger show, but season 5 of Angel is just so good. It's like, and there's so many even just kind of standalone episodes that are just absolutely brilliant. Like a Smile Time being probably the best one. The
One of
puppet
my
episode.
favorite lines out of both series is I think it's near the start where Spike comes back and Angel's having a meeting and he just like Spike's just standing by the door and he looks at him and goes, "We're having a meeting." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't care." Like, that's always nailed it for me.
Oh my goodness.
That's
Okay,
great.
so I know YouTube doesn't have rating options, but I'm gonna put a link in the chat. Zia is live on Twitch right now. She's doing a workout stream, working out her snacks. You can go rate her. That'd be nice. Otherwise, you guys have been awesome. Thank you, boys. Thank you, chat. Thank you, everyone. So cute. So cute. So cute. Little heart.
Yada yada
Awesome.
dasa.
Disparu's like cringing right now. I could see it.
Hey, I went for the manliest quote from JoJo. Okay.
I didn't.
Achoo! Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh my
So-
god! That was